You're watching the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. Now it's time for the Brent and Austen Show.
I think, my whole line of thought is not to tear down, but to build up.
Offense just 10 days ago at the NFL Combine. And, guess what? They're ripping it down here in Jacksonville. And to be fair to Gladstone, I mean, that's a question that was asked about the offensive line and about all these guys that are contractually obligated to this football team right now. And the Jags made some moves, made a flurry of moves yesterday. It wasn't just Christian Kirk. It was both Kirk and Evan Ingram. So that is a little bit surprising to have both of those guys now gone. A little bit of a shockwave and a panic button for Austen Lane on top of it. Hit that sucker. Hit it. Hit it.
Oh, my gosh.
Were you panicking yesterday?
Was I panicking? Okay, so let's go ahead and take you through about an hour of my life last night, right? So obviously I haven't been, thank you, Hamby. Yep, I'm just going to headbutt it. I'm going to headbutt a couple times, man. So, obviously still in the hospital taking care of my step pops. If you don't know what's going on, feel free to go back to the Tuesday show and check all that out again. Don't need to repeat myself. So I go get my pops some dinner, get him some pizza. I come back to the room. And listen, man, he's been doing great. We got moved to like the rehab facility now, so he's killing it. So I'm
Nice.
super proud of him, and to the point where I feel good about leaving now this afternoon, and then I'll be back in Jacksonville later tonight. Nevertheless, I get him the pizza. I come back in the room, and he goes, "Man, what are the Jacksonville Jaguars doing?" I go, "I don't know what you mean, man. I haven't seen anything. You haven't had time." He goes, "Well, first of all, you trade Christian Kirk to the Texans. I thought they hated the Texans." I go, "Okay." And then he goes, "And I guess they like Brent Strange because Evan Ingram's gone." And it was at this point where I almost hit the call button to the nurse, because we're having problems again. All the progress that we made, he's having some issues because he's talking about Evan Ingram getting cut and Christian Kirk getting traded to the Houston Texans. I thought honestly something was wrong, and I thought we made a drastic slope in terms of his recovery. So I'm like, I don't think that happened, man. But here's your pizza, enjoy it. Go on my cell phone. First thing that I see, Evan Ingram gets cut. Okay, well, obviously I was taken back by that. I had a lot of emotion towards it, but I'm like, but they wouldn't trade Christian Kirk to the Houston Texans. Like, if they're gonna let him go, you just let him go. Nope. Traded Christian Kirk to the Houston Texans for a 7th-round pick. So I get that soundbite that Hamby opened the show with. That was more about the offensive line. But right now, Gladstone is like a 6-year-old with a bunch of Legos, just tearing everything down. No remorse. No, I feel like no thought out plan. Just tear it all down, man, and we'll figure it out as we go.
Yeah, let's just start with we get to Kirk, because Kirk's an interesting one, but I want to start with Ingram because I think he's the headliner, man. Headliner on top of Kirk. We already talked about Kirk a lot, really, the end of 2 days ago show and yesterday's show. We'll get to the trade piece of that, but I think at least at the moment it's kind of a minor deal. He was going to be gone anyway. But Ingram, we said this yesterday. It's like, okay, well, you're losing Morse to retirement and Sheriff as a free agent, and now you lose Kirk, and these are pros, leadership guys, all that stuff. But forget about that even for a second. I guess people don't care about that, what I found out on social media yesterday. But the bigger thing is, now they have a big hole at tight end. I mean, they definitely leave a huge hole at tight end. I mean, where do they address this? Are they going to do better? Are they going to get cheaper in free agency? Or are they just going to go to the draft? I mean, this is Brenton Strange's room now. And listen, I'm a huge Strange fan. Like, I'm good with Strange, but he's still unproven, and you need more than Brenton Strange. So I guess there were a bunch of levels of this one that were a bit surprising. I'm going to give you one more level of this, Austen, too, that I think this is a football team that we questioned how at times physical they could be, mentally tough they could be, all those things. I really think a guy like Ingram epitomizes that. So you're taking one of those guys away. I mean, to me, when I say that about this football team, I always say you need more guys like Evan Ingram, and they're taking one away at 30 years old. I get age, I get money, I get all that stuff. That's fine. I guess might work out fine. I think it's also okay to have some debate about if this is the right move, as we've looked back in recent history for the Jags, and we do talk Darryl Smith, and we do talk Paul Posluszny, we do think Calais Campbell not being here made a difference, or Mercedes Lewis. Like, we have seen instances of this not work out in the past, so there definitely is some scar tissue there.
So first of all, let's go ahead and thank the sleep gods that I got 5 hours of sleep last night, and the Jaguars organization is going to be thankful for that, because if I would have got another 3 hours of sleep, I would have been a little more to the point where I may not even be able to talk about the Jaguars because you'd take me off the show. Now, am I taken back by this? Yes. Did I say yesterday that you cannot let the past be prologue and you have to learn from your mistakes? Sure. You lost Mitch Morse. He was a pillar. You lost Sheriff. All things considered, a guy with a lot of experience, a big resume. I think he was sort of a pillar, but I won't call him that. Evan Ingram was that guy. And I don't care what the injury history says. I don't even care what the stats say last year. All I care about is if you throw that tape on when Trevor Lawrence got hit and he got cheap shotted, and it started a civil war within the AFC South division between the Houston Texans and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Who was the first guy to try to get blood for Trevor Lawrence? It was Evan Ingram. And I spoke on this when it happened when it happened, and we talked about it on Monday. There's some guys in this league where if something goes down, they don't hesitate. They just react and they go. They have their brother's back. That's what Evan Ingram did. And there's some guys on the team, who I won't name any names, who kind of were like in that jump rope thing where it's like, all right, do I hop in now? Do I not hop in now? No. Evan Ingram, a team captain, did not hesitate to have his brother's back. Those are the type of dudes that you want on your football team. I don't care what the stats say. I don't care how much money he's making, and I don't really care in terms of, the injury history. There's just some guys that do things the right way, that are the first out to practice every single day, that are one of the last to leave every single day, that you just can't say, deuces, we'll see you later. And that's what happened. And I'm taken back by it. Now we'll get in the Christian Kirk thing, because I have a different, mindset about that one. But I'm going to be honest, man. I think it's a little bit of a mistake to let Evan Ingram go. It reminds me of a guy like Darryl Smith. It reminds me of a guy like Calais Campbell, right? Where two guys you could have said were on the back nine of their career a little bit. You didn't know how much money, how much more they had left in the tank. Maybe they're making a little more than you like to see. It doesn't matter. When you talk about those guys, it's not even about money, because what they bring to the team in the locker room, what they bring to the team in terms of mentality, and what they brought to the team in terms of what it means to be a Jacksonville Jaguar was exponentially even more than they were getting paid for just playing on the field. So I think it's a slip up, but hopefully I'm proven wrong. I get Brenton Strange is the better run blocker. You can make an argument there. I get all of that. But I just think when Evan Ingram's healthy, he's a mismatch nightmare. He's a red zone nightmare. We saw Cade Otton be used kind of the same way in Tampa Bay in terms of the red zone, especially when Mike Evans and Chris Godwin went out. So I had a hard time believing that Liam Cohen saw Evan Ingram and was like, man, I can't work with this guy. Let's get him out of here. I don't understand this one.
Yeah, I can't sit here and say I don't fully understand it. I guess it's just the lessons learned from the past. It's two different ways to look at it. And I know the way you're looking at it too, because I'm around this football team enough. And a lot of the things that you just said, I've seen, I've witnessed, but I'm not in the trenches with it. I'm not going to, even try to say that. But you're looking at it from almost like a player dynamic point of view. I'm looking at it from an outside production, chemistry, this, that kind of view, where you're really ripping down an offense and starting over in many respects, which could be a good thing. As everybody keeps telling me, they won 4 games last year. I know they won 4 games last year, folks, but they did it with a lot of these guys not playing. So the bottom line is right now, as they stand as a roster at the moment, they look worse than they did last year on offense if you're fully healthy.
And what happened to everyone saying, well, they were really close games? I think if we get a new head coach in here and we change the culture around a little bit, of those 4 games, how many more could you win? How many more was the coach the difference? So now we just said good night to that narrative. And now it's all about, well, the offense just sucks and the players just sucked. So let's go ahead and get rid of them. I don't get how we just flipped that script all of a sudden now, especially with a guy like Evan Ingram, who has shown that he's capable of being a pretty damn good tight end when he's healthy.
Yeah, I think there's so many layers of it right now, and there's one other thing about one of the layers is in this regime we trust is a big thing right now. Bulky's gone. You got a new head coach. You got Baselli in there. You got this whole new build, which is exciting, and it has been exciting for the last couple of weeks and almost couple of months now. So there is that, and I think people have really gripped onto that. There's another thing like, hey, man, you got to tear it up sometimes just to get it right? Whether it's culture the last year and a half, the amount of wins the last year, whatever, availability. There are all these things. I'm not telling people they're wrong on that, but I also don't think these discussions are necessarily wrong. We won't know for a while. The reality is, at 30 years old, Evan Ingram still has pretty good amount of football left in him, I would think. As he said on social media yesterday, he's about to go to prove it.
I hope he does. I hope he's an all-pro, man, because he earns it.
Yeah, here's the reality of it in Jacksonville is he's one of the best free agents this team has ever signed. I mean, we can have the debate of where he ranks. The bottom line is that is not a false statement. He is one of the best free agents this franchise has ever signed. He bet on himself. He helped the team to the playoffs. He helped turn it around a bit for Trevor Lawrence in 2022 in this franchise, and he produced. He was a record-setting tight end in year one. He was an enormously record-setting tight end in year two, and then obviously he played half the season last year. But guys get hurt now from time to time. The value of him here in Jacksonville was absolutely enormous. I mean, you can't say anything else. And this is very similar to the Calais conversation after 3 years. Do you understand it from a business point of view and things like that? Well, yeah, age, dollars, all these things certainly factor in. But it's still the reality that production factors in as well. And we'll see what they do to replace. What do you do to replace now? You have to. This is not replacing Shaq Griffin. This is not replacing Ronald Darby as you let him go yesterday, or Devin Duvernay. This is replacing a 30-year-old, very productive tight end who was a big key to this thing over the last few years. This is also replacing Christian Kirk, who's a 28-year-old, and when he's been on the field, ascending player in many respects. So I think that's what makes it a little bit different. It doesn't necessarily make it wrong. It just makes it different. And, as they always say, time will tell, Hamby, if it's wrong.
Well, time will tell if it's wrong. And when you talk about how different it's going to be, that was one of my main takeaways of some of the disappointment comes from, is this not the same fan base that pinned everything on the coaching staff, right? And they might have pinned it on a few players, but they didn't pin it on Kirk and they didn't put it on Ingram because they weren't even out there, right? It's beloved guys on the team. And if you just take a step back, one of the biggest things I was looking forward to of this next season and the season after was, well, how much of it was the coaching staff and how much of it was the players? That was the debate. Anytime you fire a head coach, that's the case. That's what we were looking forward to doing is, okay, well, can Liam Cohen and the new staff get the best out of Trevor Lawrence, Christian Kirk, Evan Ingram, the offense in general in a way that Doug Peterson wouldn't? So we'd at least have a little bit of closure, and I get that might be overrated, but we'd be able to say matter-of-factly, hey, okay, this is why it didn't work in 2024. This is why it didn't work at the end of 2023. Were we not baffled week in and week out of why the Jags were so bad? And we were finally going to have, if without these moves, to be able to say at least one way or the other, this is why, or maybe, if the offense wasn't good in 2025, at least we'd be able to say, well, maybe it wasn't all on Doug. It's on the players. But that's been the conversation week in, week out, ever since for the last year and a half. And the fact of the matter is, you're not going to be able to have it no more because the offense is going to look totally different. So there's one variable was going to be the same. Now both variables are going to be completely different, and the conversation is out of here.
Yeah, it was. That's a good point. I guess there's a little bit of that to all of us, right? We've been saying this for 2 months. It was going to be very hard to run this thing back going off 4 wins. It would be goofy to run it back. That's why the Kirk thing makes more sense to me than the combo of the Kirk and Ingram thing. And then you add Morrison, and then you add Scherf, and now you're like, okay, that's cool. That's like, whatever, 30% of the offense. Now you can flip that around. You're going to add some other pieces, young players, how they increase the role of Brenton Strange, all those things. Now that's like cool. But it's funny how the one domino seems to change that a little bit. It almost goes, you go from 30% to now like 40+% of that offense being gone, a lot of production being gone. And now you're like, okay, well, this is going to be a remade offense. Like we're starting over to a degree in Jacksonville. And they're really not. They have their left tackle, they have their tackles, they have their quarterback, they have their running back, they have their star wide receiver. But it does feel more of a reboot on offense than just, hey, we want to see just how good these coaches are, right? We want to see if this scheme really elevates these coaches. Well, the combo and part of that is, maybe it still will, but to do that, they want their own guys in. They want their own chess pieces in too that might work better in the offense that they're looking for.
Listen, we can sit here and talk about chess pieces and what they do on the field and everything, but that's not the sport of football. It's also what you do behind the scenes. It's also what you do in the locker room. It's one thing to have the chess pieces that can move, but what do those chess pieces mean? Okay, we can sit back and look at the New York Jets of last year and say they had one of the best rosters in the NFL. Guess what? They didn't win. You know why? Because they didn't really have a good culture in place. And a lot of that was spearheaded by Aaron Rodgers. Now, from a bird's eye view of what we look at this team right now with Liam Cohen, we're all excited, right? We get an offensive-minded dude, a guy that's probably going to elevate Trevor Lawrence in this offense. But I haven't heard anybody say, man, I'm excited because this guy's going to be a motivator of men. I haven't heard anybody say, man, those press conferences, like this guy's going to be building the culture because, you know, he's kind of like rules with an iron fist. That's not Liam Cohen's MO. I think he's more of a player's coach, and that's great. That's the future of the NFL. That's what you have to be. But in being a player's coach, you have to make sure that you have the guys in that locker room that are going to personify what you're trying to teach. And right now, you've lost Mitch Morse. You've lost Christian Kirk, and you've lost Evan Ingram. So then what do we have right now? Who are the guys that have the dog in them? Who are the guys that are going to purvey the message? Who are the guys that know what it means to be a Jacksonville Jaguar? And I'll leave it open to you guys. Go and give me the names right now. I can say Josh Hines-Allen. I can say Trayvon Walker. Who else we got? I mean, we want to say Trevor Lawrence. That's fine. But, like, has the on-the-field play backed up what we're trying to see from him? I'm not sure if it has yet. So, gentlemen, who do we have right now?
Yeah, I think you just said the two guys. I think Foye certainly has to fit in the middle with his production as well.
And I hope he's here, you know?
Yeah, I think because they just redid that deal last year, it probably doesn't make sense to move on from that one right now. Usually at that second year, you're pretty tied in. That's what we're getting a little bit with like the Gabe Davis stuff. And again, the Gabe Davis, for everybody who wants Gabe Davis gone, it just makes sense to keep him at this stage. He's 25 and his deal's like $5 million this year or $6 million. It's really not much. So you don't benefit a lot. And by the way, some of these the Kirk one was a cap move benefit. This isn't that big of a cap move benefit. It was like $6 million or something for Ingram. Yeah. I mean, that's not a huge cap. I mean, they got plenty of cap. Like, what do we say? The cap isn't real. So that's why I feel like this is more, okay, we can find better pieces, or maybe to get the best out of Brenton Strange, a young player, we've got to move Evan Ingram. I know that doesn't always make sense, but maybe we got to get him more involved, and they might have somebody else in mind. Again, how do they replace these guys? What does it look like in terms of what they're trying to build? But to answer your question, Austin, no, I mean, I think that's where we go back to. I don't know that answer. I don't know, but a reshuffle of this locker room was needed in some respects. I'm just not sure it feels like it was needed in some of those guys.
No, like, listen, and I get it. And listen, I'm going to be contradicting myself if I didn't mention this. I'm the one that always says, like, Liam Cohen doesn't owe these players anything. Like, he didn't draft them. He just got here. He doesn't owe them anything. So I understand it. But at the same time, you have to look at yourself and say, okay, maybe the production on the field isn't what we want, but what does he bring to the locker room, Brent? And once again, we're starting to repeat. I'm repeating myself, but like Calais Campbell, Darryl Smith, like we've seen this story play out before. And if we're keeping it 100, if Trent Baalke is still the GM right now, and he brings in Liam Cohen, and Trent Baalke made these moves, there is nobody on Jaguars Twitter that gives Trent Baalke a pass. There's no one on Twitter that says, "Oh, we're going to let Evan Ingram go. Oh, we're going to trade Christian Kirk to the Houston Texans." Yeah, we're going to trust the process. No one has that conversation. But since a guy comes over, and we talked about it yesterday, it's a little bit of a wild card with you know, what the Rams want to do. Sometimes there's no rhyme or reason. Now, don't get me wrong. It's worked out. So I'm not going to hate on that. But, Brent, we said it ourselves. don't be surprised if we see some shocking things. Now, I wasn't expecting it to happen today or yesterday, last night, whatever the case may be. But at the end of the day, I just think that you could have went in different directions. And at the end of the day, I think when you're trying to build a winning team and you're a new regime coming in, it's on you to keep the guys that know what it means to be a Jacksonville Jaguar. And I think Evan Ingram, the way he conducted himself outside the building, the way he conducted himself inside the building, on the field, and having everybody's back, that's one guy that I feel like you didn't want to lose.
I think it's really cool, by the way, that a lot of the fans, again, I say this on social media, I think I've had a little bit of, mixed bag of reaction on this one, but I think most of the fans are pretty cool with what these guys are trying to do, right? There's a lot of faith. I think there's nothing wrong with that. I like that. I like buy-in, and why not? When somebody's starting out, you get buy-in, you're like, hey, let's see how it goes. Let's try something different. It hasn't been great in Jacksonville overall, but again, I think it's worth noting too that you can be critical of some of the moves still, or at least curious about some of the moves. Mm-hmm. This is a football team that we think on paper, we all thought on paper about 8 months ago, even you that say you don't or didn't, you're wrong. You did. You thought they were better than 4 wins. And so it's not like keep throwing that 4-13 record at me is fine, but it's stupid logic.
That's why you fired the head coach.
That's why you fired the head coach. It's why you fired the GM. And half the dudes didn't even play most of the season. They were injured. Now, if you've got a problem with injuries and you're like, get rid of these guys, all they do is get hurt. Well, that's a fair argument. But your 4-13 argument is a silly one to me. That's why you change things. Because one more thing about this, when it goes back to the reason why Darryl Smith comes up and Calais Campbell continues to come up is different than even, I think, Mercedes Lewis on this kind of conversation, or even a Puzz when he went into retirement. The reason why is because when those guys left, they still had productive, good years. They had good football still left in them. It wasn't just, hey, we need a guy to lead us in the locker room. Yeah, no, it was they were still productive and actually better than the dudes you had. So Evan Ingram, is he going to go produce better than the guy you bring in? Christian Kirk, is he going to help Houston win the AFC South and hurt you because you don't replace him well? So the real deal here now is I'm cool with trust the new regime. That's fine. You can do whatever you want to do, but you got to get it right. And especially now in those two areas with those two guys that we know can produce, that still have production left in them, I think there now is a little bit of onus on those guys to replace in the right way and get production. I think that's where this falls. And we haven't had a lot of that here in Jacksonville, right? I mean, you let Shaq Griffin go, you let guys go. It's not like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they let him go. I mean, Allen Lazard played better when he went to Green Bay, but you weren't like, I can't believe they let Allen Lazard go, right? It wasn't like that. This is different. This is different.
Quincy Williams even.
Well, Quincy Williams, you weren't thinking that way, but Quincy obviously is the player that they developed there and turned into an all-pro up there in New York. So, I mean, these guys are, again, Kirk hasn't been a Pro Bowler. Ingram has. Ingram is a record-setting Pro Bowl guy. What if he goes to X team and makes a Pro Bowl again? Are you going to outproduce that in Jacksonville, all for saving $6 million? That's really the thought. And listen, maybe you will. And maybe it's still a long-term better play, but it's definitely valid for some criticism too, I guess is the point, Hamby.
Yeah, I think so. I get, like, everybody in the chat and even on social media yesterday was like, if you're not all in on Gladstone and everything that he does, like, you're all out. Pack your bags. I even saw all that in the chat just a second ago, and I'm just like,
that's stupid.
Like, that's there goes Austen.
Sorry. All right. Hang on.
You're packing.
Packing, you said? Packing? All right. Yep.
Like,
I get, by the way, real quick. That's today's world of everything has got to be absolute. And I don't know how to describe this to people on Twitter, but everything doesn't have to be absolute. You can think of this in 2 different ways. It's okay to think of it in a couple of different ways.
It is, especially when the fact was you didn't even know this guy's name 2 months ago. Like, trust me, I believe in Gladstone. I'm gonna buy in. I like him. I have confidence in him. At the same time, I didn't know who he was 2 months ago. And guess what? Unless you're a guy who all you do is football, and there are some, so shout out to you. I'm not trying to, but neither did you, person who's listening. You didn't know who James Gladstone is in December of 2024. You didn't, unless 90% of y'all did not. Okay? So the blind faith, I get it. There got to be confidence, or else that's what being a fan and supporting a team is all about. I have confidence in Gladstone. That doesn't mean that I have to take every single thing that he does and be like, well, yep, it's going to be 100% right. I'm all in. I can buy in and still scratch my head at some things, especially, I mean, we've known what Evan Ingram has produced. It's right there on the field. You can't, everything that you tell me that Gladstone has produced, you can't say definitively because it's a group effort. And you can't log. There's no stats on Gladstone. So if you have blind faith in him, credit to you. But seeing a 34-year-old, and age is not a factor, again, but seeing a guy come in here and in his first couple weeks make all these moves and to be like, I'm not going to question a single thing? Like, come on. Like, that is nothing but blind faith. And if you want it, then have it. But holy cow.
Yeah. It's a
call me an Uber, somebody.
You got to stay until 1.
Uber? Oh no, man. I guess I'm packing up, ready to roll. I'm gonna have one of these fine young women in here. Uber. Okay, cool. Yep,
okay,
got it, man.
Good.
We'll see you.
Call the Uber. That's not how you call an Uber, by the way.
Just kidding.
Get on your phone. I'm kidding.
This. Yeah. I got to watch how I act in this waiting room, man.
You got to know it's a bit. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, let's take a break. Brent and Austen Show, Action Sports Jax 24/7 Network from Jacksonville to Wisconsin today. We got a lot more to go. So they have $60 million. And also the Kirk to Houston thing, does it bother you at all? What are they going to do with the $60 million? What does it mean for the AFC South that Kirk now goes there? And Josh Hines-Allen chimed in a couple different times last night. Does that mean a little bit something too? A lot to get into now with the Jags, which makes next week really exciting. Again, I you know what I think is going to happen here? I think by next week, even if you're a little critical of this move or skeptical of these moves, you're going to be like, oh, they brought Godwin in. Great, let's go. Like, that's how quick it turns, right? That's how fast it turns. We get that. It went from Tony Baselli's the worst person ever in the Jags organization until 48 hours later, he's a hero, right? That's how it works. We get it. But what does it look like? Do they go after a Godwin? Do they go after Cooper Kupp? Are those the replacements? Where do they go for tight end? Where are they going for center now that Mitch Morse also has retired? Jags have some big holes to fill. They have big holes to fill. It's a 4-win team that just created more holes to fill. How do you fill them and outproduce what you had? We'll take a timeout. Brent Austen Show, Action Sports Jax 24/7 Network. Hey, don't forget to click on that QR code left corner of our screen when we come back, by the way, and for the Amelia and 30th edition of the Amelia. We're going to have some weather on Sunday. So I want to make sure we let you know that they're moving some of the Sunday festivities to Saturday. So AmeliaConcord.com for more information. Festivities already underway up there in Amelia Island, but you click on that link, you get the latest as well and how you can be a part of it. But big day today and tomorrow up there for the 30th Amelia.
It's one of the hot spots in the area.
Welcome you to String Sports Brewery out at the beach. Big crowd on hand tonight. The fans are here.
And now the newest hot spot at the beach is open. String Sports Brewery in Jax Beach has opened its doors with rave reviews.
We're going to be fans forever.
Cozy up to the bar. Grab a seat in the sports-themed restaurant, or grab a seat outside and feel that breeze coming off the beach as the weather warms. Just like the original location in Springfield, try the popular beer menu and come for lunch or dinner too, because the food is fantastic.
He's got some exciting news heading into 2025 as well. Christian Kirk.
It's where we hosted Jags Report Live in the football season, and the String Sports Brewery staff can't wait to host you.
Hey, welcome back here to String Sports Brewery. And if you haven't checked out the new location in Jax Beach, which many of you have, you got to do it.
String Sports Brewery, now with 2 locations in Springfield and now open in Jax Beach on Penman Road.
2024 provided plenty of memorable moments for the Jacksonville Armada on the pitch, including another conference championship game appearance for Tommy Kruzanovich's under-23 men's team.
They sit in the dying moments.
Debuting this year for the first time, the girls in blue, as the Armada fielded a women's under-23 side in the WPSL and made its presence known with some highlight moments.
Potential goal of the season.
Then attention turned to the future, with MLS Next teams representing the Armada badge in 3 age divisions this fall, including an under-19 squad ranking among the best in the state. Those teams are a big focus on Fleet and Footy, covering the big soccer stories each week on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
I'll put one in the back of the net for you.
Join us for player profiles, fun interviews, and the very latest on the Fleet and all things footy. That's every Thursday at 2 p.m.
Baker Sports is local sports. Uniforms from Pop Warner and Little League to travel ball, high school, and college. They make you look good. They help you play good. Baker Sports has been helping families make memories that will last a lifetime with their Baker's Buckets. We've got a lot of these filled with baseballs and softballs in the garage. I've been throwing batting practice to Ty and Kaylee for years, and also sit on the Baker's Bucket, catching Kaylee while she practices her pitching. Yeah! Baker Sports is homegrown, and a lot of employees that used to play on local ball fields now work for Baker Sports, now helping you look good, play good, and make memories of your own. Visit Bakersport.com to see what Baker Sports can do for you. Custom apparel, Nike, Under Armour, Adidas, embroidery, screen printing, and more. Baker Sports is local sports from Jacksonville to anywhere in the Southeast. Bakersport.com.
The Tom Bush family of dealerships, they've been serving customers in the Jacksonville area for 55 years. They've been your go-to spot to get and stay on the road since 1970, and that's still the case here in 2025 and beyond, even if the cars have changed just a little bit. Check out the sleek line of vehicles of the future. That's right, electric vehicles. Tom Bush offers a full lineup of reliable electric cars with state-of-the-art service facilities. Like the new VinFast, Tom Bush is among the first dealers in the entire country to offer the VinFast, and let me tell you, this thing is sweet. The good folks at Tom Bush have all the info on charging, service, tax credits, and everything you need to keep your EV running smoothly. BMW, Mazda, Volkswagen, Mini, and the newly offered VinFast. There's something for everyone at the Tom Bush family of dealerships. Ready to join the Tom Bush family? Stop by the showroom or check out the inventory online at tombush.com.
I'm ready to show my hand. Ready to take a stand. Wait on a sign above, and I am ready, ready. 'Cause I just live for the game. 'Cause I just live for the game. 'Cause I just live for the game.
For 60 years, the Bob Hayes Invitational Track Meet has provided competitive events, and we're also happy to provide scholarship opportunities too. Join us for the annual Hall of Fame Gala March 13th at the Potter's House and at the James Day Middle School Meet at UNF March 14th.
There they go.
And don't forget the annual Bob Hayes Track and Field Meet at UNF Saturday, March 15th. Get tickets and info at bhitm22.org. For vendors and partnerships, call 904-222-1075.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austen Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
Well, there's Josh Hines Allen. Never seen these many moves being made in Duval. We got something cooking big over here. Can't wait to see the final result. That was after he had said earlier in the day, did they just trade Kirk to Houston? Like, what are we doing, basically, is what he said. Hey, one quick note coming off that commercial right there. You heard the Bob Hayes Invitational. We got that coming up a week from tomorrow. We'll actually have it on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network from 1 to 6 p.m. So very cool. One of the most prestigious track and field meets in the country at the high school level. And we'll have it right here on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. Also, Justin Gatlin, Olympian. You know that name from the track and field world? He's going to join us on Monday on the show around 10:30. So we're excited about that to get ready. He'll be part of the festivities and inducted into the Hall of Fame at the Bob Hayes Invitational as well. Hamby, do I have to help you out here on the thing? Are we okay? Sizing up? You want me to move around, jockey around here?
You're good.
All right, cool. I might have played around with the computer there. Brent Martineau along with Austen Lane and Jason Hamby. Hey guys, I want to just real quick, because I want to get to a little bit of the chat on all this. First of all, good morning to everybody in the chat. Appreciate you hanging out with us. And I think there are some good comments here, and fair comments. Mr. Hugo says, a team that's won 6 games since Thanksgiving 23 has cut players. How will they ever recover? That's been a common thread there. And I think some of my reaction to that is simply part of the reason that they haven't won football games, and they've won 5 out of their last 23 games. Well, first of all, we thought it was all coaching, I thought. Secondly, was injuries. These guys that they are letting go were not on the field enough. Now, again, if you want to be critical of their availability, I think that's one thing. If you want to be critical of their overall record, well, part of the reason this offense stinks and isn't as nearly as good as we thought they could be is Christian Kirk in that 23-game stretch wasn't on the field. I mean, it coincided with them being bad on offense. So I actually think that's more of a feather in the cap of guys like Ingram, who was hurt for 8 games, and Christian Kirk, that, hey, yeah, you're not going to win without them, more than, oh, well, they were 4-13 or they're 5-18 in their last 23. So get rid of everybody. I don't follow the logic on that as much. And you know what's gone on here in Jacksonville. So the other thing that we got some folks, let me just get in here. Gladstone, no connection to these players. They're not the players he picked. Absolutely. That's what happens. That happens in your business. That happens in this business. That happens in our business. People bring in their own people. But I think you also have to be a little careful just to do that. Now, these are big financial pieces as well. Again, who do you replace them when becomes very important. Hamby's burner lost one of the leaders that helped them lose 18 in the last 23. There we go again. I don't get that logic. I think that's so short-sighted on that. And love you, Hamby's Bernie, but I just think Hamby's burner. I just think I've seen that over and over again, and I think that's a really short-sighted way to look at these moves. It's the players. The players need to make the plays better than this running back with the same team. I get the running it back with the same team. I thought that was a pickle they were in. That's why I asked the questions of Gladstone and Cohen last week at the Combine the way I did. Let's see. A couple other ones here real quick, guys. Hamby's burner is in here a lot. I thought I saw something else I wanted to bring up. I like Ingram, but from all the evidence we have, Ingram isn't as good at blocking. That seems to be the scheme fit needed, and that's okay. That's fair. That might come out to be the reason why. That they did get rid of him. It's not blind faith, regardless of if we think they were better than a 4-win team. The truth is they weren't. They won 4 games. 22 feels more of a fluke than 24. I wouldn't say that now. Yeah. 22 was fluky. 24 was really fluky too. They set a modern-day record for 10 one-score losses, despite all the injuries. And they only had 9 turnovers, which is near impossible. You could get Hamby and I to go join the defense, and we might do better than that. So I don't buy that. Black and teal. Everyone wanted the new GM, new head coach, EVP, with total alignment. But you don't want change with players. Not
what we're saying there.
We're not saying that. But like it's okay. There's change with players. I just think it's also okay to be curious and critical of what is transpiring. So anyway, that's a little bit going on in the chat. We love the chat. We appreciate the chat.
Let me point out one more.
Opinions, by the way. What's that?
I'm going to point out one more. Delphonic said Hamby's going to pop a blood vessel. You need to ignore those Twitter comments.
Well, that's true. Yeah, Hamby, you were going off a little bit, which is wild. I mean, it was good. It was fun to see.
I had fun with it, and I got cooked.
Dude's caught the fan base, man.
I'm gonna give you this one though. Hamby sends me a tweet last night, and he's like, "It's a draft." He's like, "Hey, should I send this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, you should probably tweak that one a little bit." So he tweaked it a little bit.
Yeah.
I like Hamby, it though. That's a good question.
Hamby, don't go down that rabbit hole, man, of social media, dude. Just take my approach, take it with a grain of salt, man, and keep living your life.
I had fun.
Trust me, it's a lot less stressful over here than it is on Brent's side. But do whatever you want to do, man. Listen, I'm gonna say these 2 things. My frustration with the Evan Ingram thing, like, listen, I understand. Okay, he's not the best blocker. Okay. Stats purposes. Didn't have a good year last year. Okay. Injury history. That's fine. Oh, and by the way, if we're on injury history, if we bring in Cooper Kupp, what's the difference?
Give me a break.
So everybody in the comments, everybody on social media saying, hey, Evan Ingram, we'll see you later, man. We'll see. Okay. Keep that same energy then when Cooper Kupp comes in, because in terms of injury history, it's comparable. And by the way, I know Evan Ingram's going to fight somebody if someone goes after one of his players. I'm not sure if Cooper Kupp will. Hopefully he does if he comes to Jacksonville. Now, my 2 points. My frustration doesn't stem from the productivity and everything on the field. My frustration stems from because I know what he means to the locker room. Okay, this reminds me, this would have been back in 2014. Guy by the name of Martellus Bennett tight end for the Chicago Bears. Okay, going into this season with the Chicago Bears, the team that I was on, we had everything. We had Alshon Jeffrey. We had Jay Cutler. We had Jared Allen on defense. We had Lance Briggs still playing at a pretty high level. We had, people aren't going to remember him, but Willie Young was highly touted as a great edge rusher. You had everything. And Martellus Bennett was one of those dudes. Martellus Bennett goes after Kyle Fuller in practice, body slams him because they got in a fight. Now, for those of you that don't know, Martellus Bennett was really respected in locker rooms because he was that dude where if a fight went down, he was going to always have your back. Martellus Bennett body slams Kyle Fuller. Martellus Bennett gets suspended from the team for training camp, and that created a rift within the team. Because now we saw, and this is, keep in mind, this is a newer coach in Mark Trestman, who I have great respect for, but I didn't agree with suspending Martellus Bennett. Because once that happened, that created a civil war in the locker room that I saw firsthand, where it's like, we're going to let this guy go who has maybe more heart, more fight than anybody, and we're just going to say, we'll see you later. And then what happened that season? It was one of the worst seasons ever in Bears history. One of the most underachieving seasons in history. And once again, I know because I got re-signed to that team, and I came back towards the end of the season, and I saw how down everybody was. And it stemmed with losing a guy like Martellus Bennett, who is willing to punch somebody in the face for you if they rub you the wrong way. He reminds me of Evan Ingram. So that's why I'm so adamant. That's why I'm so frustrated. It's not about the stats. It's not about him being a good run-blocking tight end, and it's not about being against the new regime coming in. It's about a guy that I feel like, and people question me in the chat, what does it mean to be a Jacksonville Jaguar? Well, maybe I don't have that answer, but I do know that it means showing up to work early, having your brother's back, and punching somebody in the face if it comes down to it. That's what you want to see. That's what when the Jaguars were humming back with the Tom Coughlin era, you had a bunch of those guys. You don't have those guys now, okay? So you need more of those guys. That's what I want to see. Now, the other part of it, the other part of my frustration, we can get into it with Christian Kirk. Listen, I thought Christian Kirk was going to be gone regardless. So, like, to me, I don't feel a type of way about it. What I feel a type of way about is trading him for a 7th-round pick to the Houston Texans. Now, if you would have cut him, would he have gone to the Texans anyways? Maybe. But I would have been willing to sacrifice that 7th-round pick that, let's be honest, doesn't mean anything. Don't tell me, oh, you can trade with it. You can move up. It's a 7th-round pick, okay? And I don't care how great of a drafter Gladstone is. If he drafts an all-pro at 7th round, I'll bow down and bow to him. But until that time, I don't care about a 7th-round pick. So I would have sacrificed that just to give the middle finger to the Houston Texans and say, I'm not going to do business with you. I'm not going to shake hands with you. And that's the thing. Like, I understand Cohen, Gladstone, they're coming into the situation. They don't understand, but it's almost like the Michigan-Ohio State rivalry where it's like, you may not understand it, but you better get on board when you say, like, these are our rivals. We don't like this team. And that's what it is right now in Jacksonville. And once again, the fans can say, it's just, it was a cheap shot. Like, it is what it is. I'm telling you, every single player in that Jaguars locker room does not like the Houston Texans. Mm-hmm. And when Christian Kirk got traded to him, I guarantee you a lot of players in that locker room felt a certain type of way about that. So that's where my frustration comes from, where it's like, was a 7th-round pick worth shaking hands with your enemy? I don't think so.
Man, you took the words right out of my mouth.
By the way, they did this with... This is Houston. What everybody says, like, well, Houston was going to go get a deal done for him anyway. They would have had competition. If they thought they were going to get a deal done for him anyway, they wouldn't give up a 7th-round pick, folks. I mean, the logic on that is goofy. They did the same thing with Joe Mixon. They gave up a pick so they could secure him. Smart move by Houston, by the way. If they want him, secure him. You don't have to go bid or outbid or do whatever else against other teams that might want him and risk losing him, especially given the history and situation where his buddy got knocked out by the Texans guy. Now, listen, it's a business. Doesn't mean you can't go play for the Texans. Probably a little bit weird for even Christian Kirk right now, though, with that whole situation that transpired just a few short months ago. But, yeah, listen, I grew up around the Yankees-Red Sox rivalry, man. You would go jump in the Red Sox and Yankees would go jump into a free agent bid, even if they didn't want a guy, just to raise the price for either the Red Sox or the Yankees. We need to hate Houston more around here. Like, we don't hate them enough. I don't like this move. by the way, you're not wrong, Austin, because it got Josh Hines Allen on social media to make a comment about it.
Good.
That's how this team feels about it. That you make a trade with those guys. Now listen, 7th round pick, maybe it does turn into something. Is it the biggest deal in the grand scheme of things? I don't know. But I thought going into this year that the Jags had a good chance to contend with the Houston Texans in the AFC South. If you believe that at all, now maybe you don't, but if you believe that, are you telling me that you don't think what just transpired here with Kirk could tilt it a little bit in Houston's favor to give them a bit more of an edge in the South? Well, right now it looks so until you get a replacement, and I start seeing that replacement's better than Christian Kirk. So, yeah, I don't understand why you wouldn't be a little bit miffed at the Houston Texans thing, and I would question whether you hate the Texans enough.
Well, and listen, Hamby, one more comment. I'm going to let you do your thing here. I don't like to pull this card a lot because I don't believe in pulling this card. All right, because I think there's a lot of great football minds that haven't played football at the highest level. So far, I've never really pulled the card before, but I'm just going to say it right here. Like, I'm on this show for a reason, right? And yeah, I didn't have a long, great career in the NFL, but I've been in a lot of locker rooms and I paid attention. Believe me when I say, when it was announced that Christian Kirk got traded to the Houston Texans, the players in that locker room felt a certain type of way about it, and it wasn't a good way. Okay, and I'm saying the Jaguars locker room. All right, they didn't. And to say, well, we got a 7th round pick out of it, and that 7th round pick can be used in trades in the draft, and it can be used for so many things. It's not worth it. Okay, I'm sitting here telling you right now that it's not worth it because the way the players in that Jaguars locker room feel, and who knows how many are going to be there, right? Because we're cutting right now, so who knows? But I'm just saying the players in that locker room and some of the players that mean a lot to the team, they feel a certain type of way about that trade, and they're not a fan of it. And I would have said, you know what, Christian Kirk, we appreciate you, man. Maybe we want to do right by you and send you to a good team. Texans are a good team, obviously. Let's give them their flowers there. But we got to put you on waivers. We're not going to trade you. And let's see what happens. If Houston wants you that bad, then they'll pay the price, so be it. But the last thing I'm going to do, like I said before, is shake hands with an enemy and maybe make my team feel a certain type of way about it for a freaking 7th round pick. All right, Hamby, sorry, dude.
No, I think that was, literally, that's exactly my point. I just think, and you might say that's bad business, right? Where if a team wants to give you a 7th round pick or you walk away with nothing, you take the 7th round pick, it's a no-brainer. And that's what a lot of people were saying. And I'm telling you, maybe that is bad business to not take that. But I wouldn't have taken it. Because again, this is the same people that when Trevor got hit, they were about to book the first flight to Houston and stage a revolt, especially when they defended it. The whole culture of the Texans, the head coach, the quarterback, everybody defended the hit. And you would have thought, and now we trade a guy who, say what you will about him, but at one time or another, everybody liked him. At one point or another, everybody liked him. You trade him away, and all of a sudden, oh, yeah, well, it's business is business. Well, where was the business is business there? Like, it's just that you talk about a switch up. Again, is this a good business? Why is this a good business move? Yes. I'm not saying it's not. I'm saying Gladstone's coming in. He's thinking business. Okay, well, option A, I get a 7th round pick. Option B, I get nothing. I'm going to take option A. I get it. But I'm thinking, holy cow, did Tony Baselli not have any input on this? Because, Tony Baselli knows the dynamics better than anybody. If anybody's going to step in and say, hey, I get it. It's a 7th round pick. And you're getting something instead of nothing. But this is the freaking Texans. Maybe we just bite the bullet because we have 52 other guys or 60 or 70 other guys, if you include the whole roster, who are looking at this move. And what's more important, a 7th round pick or making sure that everybody's on board instead of in our first day of making moves in power, we're going to already give them something to question? Like, how is that? Like, we got to think about years in the future. What's more important? I want everybody in the building on board. And why I'm already going to give him something to be like, well, gosh, what are we doing? Josh Hines Allen did it. That's the pillar of your franchise.
The Hamby Lane conglomeration. Start printing t-shirts right now. Never thought I'd see the day. From being annoyed with the Georgia Bulldogs, from disagreeing about Kirk Cousins, but here we are. The stars are aligned, and all it took was Christian Kirk going to the enemy.
I'm really surprised, actually, a little bit that all of us feel a similar, somewhat similar kind of way, with maybe a little, tangents here or there, because based on social media, I feel like it's a totally different thing. And social media is just a segment of things, but it's been interesting because I thought we would have some differing opinions on some of this stuff that transpired, at least initially. And again, I think everybody needs to know where we're coming from. It doesn't mean you're off the Gladstone, Cohen train stuff. It's like, all right, let's see what transpires next. And we're about to get into that. There's two huge things that we need to get into still after this timeout, and that's Trevor Lawrence, and now what do they do with the $60 million? Because I do think those are two huge issues on different fronts. But just to wrap this part up on this conversation, one, I think part of the business side of things here, Austen brought up that I don't want to let slip by. They might have done this in a solid kind of way for Christian Kirk, and they want to take care of people on the way out the door too. That is part of the business structure of a good organization. And so getting him to, at least right now, keep his $16.5 million or $15.5 million salary is a good deal for Christian Kirk, right? Because if he hit the open market, who knows what it would have been coming off 2 injury-riddled seasons. So that might have actually really helped him out and said, hey, we appreciate all you've done. We're going to move on, but they're going to have to eat this contract or you guys can figure it out down the road. But they're willing to take on your contract and get paid this amount of money this year. So it might have been a solid, in many respects, to Christian Kirk. But I'm just going to say it. We were looking into these 2 games with Houston as being massive games this year. They have owned Jacksonville. And then on top of that, that last bit of hope and breath they took out of you in Jacksonville this past, I think it was December, when they played and the Jags had 6 games to go. You could have run the table and still been a part of this thing. And no, they lose. And on top of it, they cheap shot your franchise quarterback and they knock him out for the season. Like that can't be forgotten around here. That can't be forgotten. You were pissed about that. We were pissed that Eric Armstead wasn't pissed enough about that. We were pissed that the whole team wasn't pissed enough about that. That kind of exemplified this team to some degree in 2024.
And we celebrated.
Like, okay, it's all right. It's just, let's trade them to that guy and make them better. You just made them better, at least as of right now. That's just the facts.
And we celebrated Jerry Jones and Evan Ingram for having Trevor Lawrence's back. And we're ready to give him lifetime contracts because of it. And now one of those guys is gone. Like, it's crazy how that one moment in time of Trevor Lawrence getting hurt has had such an effect now on these trades, because now we see Christian Kirk over there and it's like we don't like that. And then we see Evan Ingram get released, and at least I don't like that. I don't think Hamby likes that either. I think, Brent, you're kind of on the same page. It's just wild how one play can have so much ramifications. And I get it, right? I've said this a lot here. Liam Cohen and Gladstone, they weren't here last year. So I get it. Maybe they don't understand the dynamic between the Houston Texans. Maybe they don't understand the severity of what went down last year, but you better get ingrained because the players are still ingrained, right? It's almost like Game of Thrones. The North remembers, right? A lot of players in that locker room remember what happened with Trevor Lawrence. It's Liam Cohen's job and Gladstone to get on that level as well, because that's not just something you just come in and be like, it's okay. I understand you guys don't like the Houston Texans, but we got to do this deal here. It's a 7th round pick. I don't think so. But that's, once again, I'm probably in the minority here because everyone's trying to clean house and start a clean slate, and Gladstone we trust in everything. I'm just speaking on behalf of what I feel like that locker room is probably going through right now, seeing a captain, seeing a guy they probably held in really high regard get traded for a 7th round pick to the enemy.
Listen, if Houston beats the Jaguars next year in October and Christian Kirk has a good game, I've already bookmarked a couple of tweets, and I don't even use the bookmark stuff very often, but I've already bookmarked a couple of personalities here in Jacksonville because I can hear them already bitching about it. And I can just hear them, and it's like, oh, no big deal today. No big deal. You'll be bitching about it potentially if it works out that way. Now, hopefully it doesn't work out that way. That would be great if it doesn't. But, I mean, this right now, the way it looks, could certainly aid the Houston Texans. Again, you did not just get rid of a 34-year-old player in Kirk. Kirk is a good football player and has done some really good things, and he's only 28 years old. So that's what you just did within your division. I actually believe the division's going to be close. I don't think Houston's running away with anything. I think the Jags have a good opportunity here, even as they rebuild it, to win right away. You know, I've said that a million times already, that I think they're going to be pretty good in 2025. So I think this could be a significant move within the division, or maybe I'm not right, and that would be better.
Well, yeah, and I'm gonna be honest, man. Just once again, just group chats and everything. But what I was or at least what I kind of had I don't want to say a hope, but what I was waiting to hear was whether there's gonna be some kind of trade between the Rams, with Christian Kirk going to the Rams and the Jaguars getting Cooper Kupp. Now that wouldn't be straight up. Obviously, I think, and truth be told, it would cost more on the Jaguars end, I would believe, even though, you know, despite what you say about age and everything, I think it would have cost a little more to get a guy like Kupp. But I felt like that could have been a bargaining chip that they could have used if they truly wanted Cooper Kupp, you know, because once again, familiar with the offense with Liam Cohen, Gladstone knows him very well. I thought that made a lot of sense, but Houston Texans it is.
Yeah. By the way, and people will tell you, and Steve Boston just said, yeah, they're taking some of the money off, and obviously it's a cap savings hit regardless for the Jags, and that's fine, okay. But can we stop going there? The Jags, first of all, have plenty of money. The cap is fine. I don't give a damn about the money. Like, it's not my money. It ain't your money. Like, you don't care about leadership in the locker room. All these folks on Twitter told me they don't care about that. There are 4 wins or only won 5 games since Thanksgiving. You don't care about that, but you care about Shad Khan's money all of a sudden. I mean, can we stop with the money part of this? It's not like they just saved $60 million on a deal. Like, this is just normal business in the NFL. Like, the money situation, to latch on to the money part of this is ridiculous. Okay. Like,
it's one contract restructure. Fine. Okay, cool. You know, that's all it is.
It's just like, that's, to me, yeah, it's part of it. But if that's what makes it okay for you, losing the leadership stuff, but saving $10 million, I mean, that I think you're going to be complaining next year about some of things. Like, that can't be the differentiator here. That was the goofiest thing that I got yesterday during all this. Oh,
I can't wait till Brent goes rogue next year.
It's like,
Brent's saving bookmarks now. He's got people in his sites. Oh, it's gonna. Oh, buckle up, everybody. You know, one of the things are going to happen. It's going to be great, and we're going to celebrate wins, and it's going to be fantastic. Or it may not get as good as we think it's going to go, and then Brent's got a bunch of receipts that he can't wait to just unload the chamber on. I can't wait, man.
I'd rather not do the receipt thing. I hope these guys
That's
are
what
really
I call
right.
a win-win. Yep.
I'm all for these guys, right? Like, this is all good on a lot of levels, but I'm just going to go back to the start of our whole show today, and it's okay to also have some question marks about this and curiosities about this.
If John Cena can turn heel, Brent Martineau can go on the bad side as well.
Hey, one more thing real quick on Christian Kirk, because we probably won't bring it back necessarily to come back. You said, Brent, that Christian Kirk is a good player. Oh, but apparently he's not. No, I mean, if we would have kept him and we would have restructured, then going into the season come, let's say, July or August, it would have been like, all right, Christian Kirk's back. Let's see what we can get out of him. Liam Cohen's going to get the best out of him. Oh, but since you trade him, Christian Kirk's washed. We talk about him. This is my biggest point yesterday of everything that got me the most upset. We talk about him like he's coming off a season-ending knee injury. And we talk about him like Tank Dell. Like, Tank Dell hopefully makes a full recovery. But, like, we talk about him like there's no guarantee Tank Dell is the same. His leg got towed. Like, he might. Hopefully he does for his sake. But Christian Kirk broke his collarbone. That's what I put on. It's a freaking monkey bar injury. You're out for a month, and you're back on the monkey bars a month later. Has zero impact on his game whatsoever from a freaking collarbone breaking. Like, he's 28 years old. If you don't think he's a good football player because of some injury, he got put on IR 2 straight years. Oh, he's injury prone. He had a freak thing and broke his collarbone. Your third grader just did the same thing on the monkey bars. You're gonna call? Is your son washed? He's 28. Like, let's freaking go.
Well, he's 28, but I mean, to be fair though, and this is why I wasn't really sad to see him go, except when went to the Houston Texans. he does have a lot of career. He's got 8 seasons now, is it?
Mm-hmm.
Like, very rarely do you go into your 9th season, I believe, and you find some magic. All of a sudden, like, you find another echelon, right? But Hamby, I got some homework for you, and then we can go to break. Everyone's excited now about Chris Godwin. It's Chris Godwin's time. Bring up Chris Godwin's, and not right now, obviously. I'm saying during the break. Give me Chris Godwin's numbers and compare him to Christian Kirk, because I don't have him in front of me. I have no idea. But I know Chris Godwin's come up a pretty serious injury. I want to see Chris Godwin's numbers and compare him to Christian Kirk's numbers, and I want to see where all this hype from Chris Godwin's coming from.
Okay. By the way, that's part of what we want to do here. I got 2 things I got to get to. I'm going to get out of here at about 11:35. I go speak to a class this morning, and we might even take you live there to that class. So that'll be part of it. These guys will go to 1 o'clock. But I really want to get into this next part. $60 million to spend. Could Chris Godwin be a part of that? Where do they go now to replace? They're going to be way more active than I thought they'd be now coming up next week, I would assume. And also Trevor Lawrence. What does this mean for Trevor Lawrence? And I got a couple of thoughts on that. I wonder what you guys feel about it as well. We'll do that when we come back. Brent and Austen Show, Action Sports Jax 24/7 Network. Hamby's feeling all sorts of kind of ways. The Jags have interior line replacements to make as well. Brandon Sheriff, Mitch Morris, 2 wily veterans. Where do they go next on that front as well to get the front 5 even better? Of course, that can certainly happen. And James Gladstone and Liam Cohen will try to do it.
There's a saying in sports, you can't win them all, but you can win a lot with good folks on your team. Like that one painter, First Coast. It's tough to beat the sun in Florida, so your home fades. It's tough to beat that HOA when they come calling. Beat the sun, beat the HOA with that one painter, First Coast. And it's a good time to do it. Less rain to work around, and painting in mild temperatures is perfect. After all, the paint bonds to the surface so much better. Give that one painter First Coast a call at 904-417-3557 or look them up at first-coast.thatonepainter.com. Fast estimate, guidance on color and HOA requirements, and the highest quality job you'll find anywhere. Be a big winner in your neighborhood with that one painter First Coast on your team.
Just be yourself. Maybe we're talking about being a dad or a mom, a first responder or a teacher. Maybe it's a sports fan. We love those. We're talking about anyone in the Jacksonville community. At Community First Credit Union, just be yourself means being real. When you partner with Community First, it's straightforward. They're people connecting with you, so you can be yourself. I've been coming here to Community First for years. This is the Bartram branch, the one I usually come to. And they have mortgage loans, personal loans, and auto loans. And I'm almost done paying off that truck loan. Just a few more months. Good rates, easy online banking, and friendly customer service when I have a question. It's easy to be myself with Community First. They live up to the slogan in their name. Community First has partnerships in the Jacksonville community with the Iceman, the Florida Theater, the Jacksonville Zoo, and many more. Visit one of the Jacksonville branches or find out all you can do with Community First Credit Union at communityfirstfl.org so you can just be yourself.
For the game day hustle and every day in between, juggling my show Jags Social to going under the Friday night lights and a social life, it's a daily tournament. But this ride, MVP status. The all-new 2024 Lincoln Nautilus isn't just my car, it's my personal locker room, office on the go, and VIP lounge on wheels. Let's talk tech. My profile remembers everything from customizing my dash display to setting the ambient lighting and my signature scent. And wireless charging, essential for live tweeting scores. Whether I'm packing for a beach day with friends or heading to the gym, there's space for every passion. After dominating all day, this becomes my recovery zone. The massage feature is like having a personal PT on call. Life's a non-stop game, but with this ride, I'm always on my A game. The 2024 Lincoln Nautilus. Drive your passion.
People helping people. It's at the core of what Alive Credit Union is all about, and it's been that way for over 70 years. From the start in 1954 to today, the mission remains to inspire financial wellness and give you a financially fit lifestyle. Alive Credit Union and its employees are committed to not only serving their valued members, but also our community here in Northeast Florida. I had a chance to see that commitment firsthand as Alive partnered with our Action Sports Jacks 24/7 team to bring you Armada men's and women's soccer broadcasts. Inside the 18, it is a shot, and it's a goal! Chloe Chivers! And that connection to the community continues with Alive Credit Union's support of the Police Athletic League of Jacksonville. Alive Credit Union's commitment to our community also involves serving the financial needs of all first responders through the recent merger partnership with City and Police Federal Credit Union. Join the community and become a member of Alive Credit Union today. Find out the many ways you can be inspired in financial wellness at alivecu.coop.
You trust CGC to make your water great, and now you can trust CGC with your plumbing needs as well. Fast, convenient scheduling, licensed and insured. A quick call away at 904-552-1242.
You never know when you're going to have an issue with a shower, toilet, or maybe it's a sink that sometimes is easy to fix. All right, let's be honest. I'm not fixing anything. I'm totally staging this because when I have a plumbing problem, I call CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing.
Trained professionals, transparent pricing, customer satisfaction. Small problem or even a bigger issue. Right now, you can take 10% off any water heater. The experts with 25 years of experience at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing can do it all. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. For a limited time, CGC is waiving the trip charge on all related plumbing calls. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austen Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network.
Oh, it looks like Brent's mic might have gone out right there.
Yeah, I can't hear Brent. That's what happens when we get fired up on the show, Hamby.
It is.
Also, while we wait for Brent to fix the mic issue, unless can the chat hear him? Maybe we just can't hear him. But I assume...
no, he's
okay. Yeah, Brent, we can't hear you, man.
It's all good. I'm gonna get him off.
I have to get him phrasing, but maybe go ahead and new link
Brent,
or something.
Yeah, Brent or Austen, let me ask you. Let's take this to Morse really quick while we get him back on.
Yeah. I want to, because I mean, I've looked at the chats a little bit with the whole Christian Kirk thing, how the Houston Texans are doing the Jaguars a favor by taking on that contract, which is what I think 15, 16, 17 million, whatever the case may be, which in the grand scheme of things now for wide receivers is kind of an average contract when you look at it. It's crazy how far the inflation has come. Are we going to sit back and watch the Houston Texans restructure the Christian Kirk deal like they did with the Stephon Diggs deal? And then I'll be done with the Christian Kirk conversation. Because now it's not the same things. I believe Christian Kirk has one more year left on his contract, so it's not the same. But remember what Stephon Diggs, what happened with him. The Bills trade him. I believe he had 2 more years left on said contract. And the Texans go, yeah, very cool. We know that you like making money and, you know, guaranteed money is guaranteed money, but we kind of want to see you prove it a little more. So let's go ahead and play ball. We got CJ Stroud. He's going to be great for you. Let's go ahead and make it a 1-year deal. And they agreed. And that's what happened. What happens to Stephon Diggs? Well, unfortunately, he gets hurt. And now, you know, the high price contract has come down drastically on a make it or break it year this past season for Stephon Diggs. The point, though, is I feel like the Houston Texans kind of finessed him a little bit and said, hey, if you play really well for us this year, imagine what that new contract's going to be. Well, he didn't. Tore his ACL, tore his whole knee up, and now he's kind of, you know, making what he's going to be making. Who's to say that the Houston Texans aren't going to go, Christian, man, we love to have you here and everything. Tank Dell got hurt. You're going to be a great replacement for him. We'll see you're making, what, $15, $16 million? Yeah, well, can we go ahead and restructure that a little bit, and we'll see what happens. I'm very curious to, and once again, it wouldn't be beneficial to Christian Kirk because there's really no incentive, and why would you play ball to a new team when you had a 1-year deal anyways left, because that's all that's left on his contract. But I'm very curious to see if Houston Texans restructure that deal, because if that's the case, that's going to make me upset as well.
Yep. Still don't have
Brent.
They don't have Brent. All right. Well, that's fun.
Guess it's going to be a fun time to learn sign language.
It will be.
But Hammy, I mean, do you agree with that though? Do you think like could that be a possibility with the Texans?
I don't know. I think they could. I wish, I think Christian Kirk's going to be wanting an extension.
I assume Stephon Diggs would want a couple more years in his contract, but that's not how it went down. So I don't know, man. I guess time will tell. But let's go to the Mitch Morris topic here that you brought up. We got the video and everything.
Yeah, I think he's obviously the afterthought kind of here because of all, he's just retiring. He's not the one getting cut. But you put anything to maybe the Jags went to him and said, "Hey, look, this is what we're looking at. But we want to move on," and he's like, "Yeah, I think I'll just retire."
Yeah, I mean, truth be told, Hamby, it always can be. It's a lot more taxing when you have a new regime coming in, right? It's a brand new way of doing things, and especially a guy like Mitch Morris, who has said on many occasions, dude's banged up, right? Dude's been at it for a long time, so I can kind of see a guy who's like, I was in the back nine of his career. Do you want to do a new regime? Do you want to rebuild it up again? And with all due respect to him, he said no. And I get that. I think that's just what it is, man. I just think it's a guy who played a lot of seasons in the NFL in the trenches, and he's banged up, and the juice is just not worth the squeeze anymore. And I think you always kind of get that feeling of when you do bring a new regime in, can you change it right away? Are you going to the Super Bowl right away? Well, probably not. It's going to take a couple years to turn things around, and I don't think Mitch Morris really wants to be a part of that.
Fair
Brent,
enough.
I think we got you back, Brent.
Oh, you got me now. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I guess I can't even tell you why all that just happened, but I can't throw a hot spot right now. So if I could, I would throw the hot spot like I did last week. All right. So Hamby, we okay? Can I talk?
Yep.
Is
You're
that okay
good.
to keep doing that? All right, good. I'm only talking for another few minutes anyway. But, guys, I want to ask you about $60 million to spend now all of a sudden. I didn't think the Jags would be crazy spenders. They had a decent amount of money to spend. I didn't think they'd be crazy spenders coming up next week. Now I kind of feel like, okay, they might be bigger spenders than I thought. They got some money to play with, and now they have more holes to fill. We mentioned Chris Godwin, and obviously there's some talk out of Tampa from some folks that injury might even be more significant than people thought initially. Could Godwin be a player, that Tampa lineage to Cohen, the Rams from Cooper Kupp to Cohen, familiarity? We've talked about that the last couple of days. Do you get players in here that know the system, know the language? Certainly seems plausible, but what are they going to do? I mean, are they going to be big spenders on Monday, Tuesday? They got a lot of work to do. We're going to get a lot of news. Going to be a lot of fun next week, early in the week. What do we think?
So, I mean, once again, without repeating ourselves from yesterday, but this is why it's so hard to read, Brent, because we don't know what Gladstone's going to do, because the Rams have done it all and they've done it in many different directions. So it's kind of hard to get a bead of what the overall plan is. I'm going to go back to what I said yesterday, though. I think if you let Christian Kirk go, who's really close to Trevor Lawrence, I think if you let Evan Ingram go, who is a great weapon and all things considered seems to be pretty damn good friends with Trevor Lawrence as well, there has to be a plan already in place. There has to be a dangling carrot in front of Trevor saying, I know this looks really bad right now. Christian's going to Houston, Evan's gone, but like this is the plan. So I do think they're going to be active in free agency, Brent. Obviously, you can do some of this in the draft as well. And Gladstone is, I'm sure, very excited to showcase his draft prowess and everything. But I do think there are still some big names out there in terms of free agency. Now, does Cooper Kupp drive the message home and you get excited about that? Maybe. Does Chris Godwin after injuries? I don't know, but I do think, and this is me trusting the process, and this is me trusting Gladstone. I do think there is a giant play in place, because I don't think they'll let Evan Ingram go and Christian Kirk like they did unless they had a plan.
Yeah, well, the interesting part for me is they want to build through the draft in total, right? They've said that. Shad Khan said that last summer. These guys have said that as well. They don't want to be spenders all the time. Well, the Jags have been huge spenders the last decade. Like Shad can say that, but they've been huge spenders. They spent more money, I think, than anybody else over the last decade in the National Football League on free agency. So now they've got some to spend. I think they're up to like the seventh most cap space in the National Football League. So does that mean you go get big guys
in terms of big names that are going to be big deals? Or do you take those and fill in some spots so you don't corner yourself in the draft and you just try to upgrade that moderate level free agent in the draft or complement it, supplement it, however you want to look at it? I feel like they're going to go after some big dudes here in free agency, like guard center, more than they're going to go after big name wide receiver guy or trade for a DK Metcalf guy or anything like that.
T. Higgins,
I feel like that. I'm not sure because, again, expect the unexpected right now, I think, with this Jags regime. But I feel like they want to be more veteran at that interior position. Don't you? Where Trevor is at his point of his career, where these guys are on the offensive line, where pair them with Ezra Cleveland, third-year Anton Harrison, and in the middle of all that, you put a center who's 26 or 27 years old, and you put a guard that's 26, 27 years old. Now, listen, here's the one thing. The guard market has climbed. I mean, Daniel Griffiths, who wrote about this on actionsportsjacks.com, presented by That One Painter, First Coast, yesterday we talked about this, and I should have looked closer at the guard number, but the guard value to me has really gone up here in Jacksonville because James Gladstone said set the dish, but I really think gone up in general. Chicago goes and gets some guys. You're starting to see guard names in the headlines where, hey, we're keeping this guy. They just know they can't find a lot of these good players. And even though your good might not be great, good is better than the rest of what the league has. So I just don't know how many guys are going to be available for the Jags to take that you're going to really fall in love with and feel good about.
Yeah, I mean, it really is a good call, right? So I tend to agree with you here, Brent. Like, listen, I would love if you made the ultimate play to try to get a big-time wide receiver. Like, that would be a big splash. There's not and when I say big-time, like, big-time T. Higgins-esque echelon, I just don't think there's a lot of those guys out there, and you have to ask, like, how much would that cost, especially when you can maybe address that early in the draft. So I tend to agree with you a little bit where I feel like if you do address free agency, it may not be like the sexiest positions, but maybe the most important positions in terms of, shoring up the trenches, especially now that Mitch Morris is gone. And when you look at other pieces, and listen, I thought for sure if you're going to get rid of Evan Ingram, he could at least have some kind of trade bait. You could at least use him because, I mean, if you got a 7th round for Christian Kirk, nobody wanted Evan Ingram.
They might still do that. Like the Kirk stuff took like an extra day and a half to manifest itself. That's why you get it out here because you really can't release until next week. So that's why you put it out early. So then maybe something does materialize there. Yeah. And maybe I don't know, like the Kansas City Chiefs go get Evan Ingram. Yeah. Or something. I don't know.
But yeah, and maybe that's the case, and maybe get more draft capital because of it. Not like I feel like you really need a lot more draft capital, but sure, go ahead and add, stockpile if you want. But yeah, I just felt like if you were going to let Evan Ingram go, I think he was a big enough bargaining chip where if you're looking at a player or something, like you could have used him there. But maybe I'm wrong.
The other part of this for me, again, I just think now Monday, Tuesday, the big picture there is Monday, Tuesday is going to be pretty interesting in Jacksonville. I thought they would make some moves, certainly to bring in guys. But I think now the volume of moves goes up. And my main belief in that is not necessarily to go try to get your blue chippers and spend on those, but it's more to you got to cover up some holes now going into the draft because you don't want these wide open holes, these gaping holes going into the draft because it really puts you more in a position of need than it does best player. You are going to have some needs, absolutely, but you don't want 5 needs where you have to take cornerback and then defensive interior, then center, then guard, then tight end, and you have to use your first 5 picks that way and you're pigeonholed to do it. So they will definitely utilize free agency to cover some of those spots up. And I guess you could make the case that they do have like Luke Fortner to at least hold down that spot until they draft somebody. Like they have a guy that's been around the league a little bit, played some games, and I understand what that comes with and everything.
Has a Liam Cohen connection too.
He does, and he also learned a little bit behind Mitch Morse. Did he get better? We have no idea. That's not going to sit well. I'm just saying it doesn't necessarily pigeonhole you to go get somebody at center for free agency. You've kind of got somebody in place that can play the position, actually has some experience doing so, and then you hope that in the second round, that center that you really want to go get, kid from North Dakota State or something, is right there to be had. So I just watch what they do because they're going to cover up some of these holes. That's what free agency does. So it sets you up for success in the draft.
Well, let me ask you guys this, because it's been a crazy couple of days here in terms of losing. I feel like some pretty solid players. What do you think it's going to be like when we look back on this? What's been the biggest loss? Mitch Morse, Christian Kirk, or Evan Ingram? And like trying to replace that said guy.
I think it's actually Ingram, because I don't think you, again, talk about a franchise record breaking guy for 2 years in a row, is 30 years old, and everyone will tell you he's a matchup nightmare for defenses. So I think even Kirk, who I have a ton of respect for and really like, I just think Ingram's different in that sense. So to me, that's why the chess piece is more like, okay, but we like this, right? We want this. What they really want, Austen, is probably another Brenton Strange type. Maybe it's a Tyler Warren guy that can actually catch passes and block, and you can disguise that better and beef up your offensive line a little bit that way too. That you're not that Ingram can't block, but you weren't getting that type of play out of his skill set. But you were getting a mismatch, which I love, because over the years in Jacksonville, you just haven't had a lot of mismatches on the offensive side. But Ingram definitely created that. And people are bothered by 7 yards a catch. Well, 7 yards a catch is a nice little safety blanket for your quarterback. And 2nd and 3 is not a bad thing. It's better than 2nd and 10.
No, I agree with you. I think on paper, like, listen, stat-wise, what it meant to the team, we've been all over this. I don't need to repeat myself. I think it is Evan Ingram. But I do wonder, and maybe there was a lot of conversation between Liam Cohen and Mitch Morse, like if they envisioned Mitch Morse being here another year, right? And I highly doubt that if he would have said, yeah, I want to play another year, they would have like let him go or traded him. Like, I think if Mitch Morse chose to play, he was going to be a starter next, this up and coming season for the Jaguars. So I wonder, with his timing, with him choosing to retire, if it kind of threw the organization for a little bit of a loop where it's like, oh, now we're going to let Evan Ingram go. We're going to let Christian Kirk. Oh, now we got to find a center as well. Like, that's just an extra thing to add. So while I get it's Evan Ingram, I just wonder if Morse, the whole decision kind of messed up some plans a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know. I usually have a feeling they have a sense if that's coming. I don't usually. Now, if it's August, it's a surprise. But I think they had a sense that probably was coming. Before I get out of here, I got to go speak to a class, and we'll check in from that class, hopefully on the show. I want to get to the Trevor Lawrence part of this, guys, and you guys can elaborate even more after I'm gone. But this really resets Trevor. And he's 4 years in. It's obviously been a mixed bag. We don't have to go over that. But it's really a reset, fresh start with regime, obviously another system and play caller and everybody that they've put around him. But now really resetting his weaponry, his relationships, his chemistry with a lot of these. That Kirk and Ingram stuff was legit. And now Gabe Davis didn't play that much last year. You got that to build on from last year. He's going to be on the roster, it looks like. And Brian Thomas Jr., that's a beautiful one to evolve. And then they're remaking even that center quarterback relationship, right? I mean, they're remaking that too. So this is really a fresh start. And if you look at the leadership on that side of the ball, it really now is like, hey, dude, we're paying you $275 million. This is your team. Like, we don't need the Ingrams and Kirks and everybody else and Sheriffs and Morses. We need you to be the guy. Like, you've got to be the guy. And not to say he wasn't ready for that before, but he's 25 years old. And he's now one of the elder statesmen on this offense, guy that's been around the block and played a bunch here in Jacksonville. So I just think it's an interesting look through the lens of Trevor Lawrence here, not his old buddy thing. He gets the business, all right? That part of it's like, whatever. You're going to lose people that you like, and that's going to happen. But now you've got to develop these new relationships, get them on the same page, chemistry, and really take this offense, Austen, and grab it and go, because you at 25 years old are the guy on that side of the ball.
No, without a doubt. And listen, I understand that, I feel like we talked about it. Well, Hamby kind of went on a rant a little bit, and you, Brent, about like, the salary cap and paying this much money and all this stuff. Like, it's not our money. Who cares? But at the end of the day, Trevor Lawrence is making a lot of money, right? He's making top 5 money. And a lot of that money, is due to Trevor Lawrence. So Yeah, it's when you talk about the center quarterback exchange, like that'll take time to build that chemistry. And it begs the question, do you go in the younger direction in the draft, or do you address that in, free agency? I will say this much. While it may not be a sexy play, I think getting a legit center or a seasoned center, like kind of did with Mitch Morris last year, like, listen, Mitch Morris came in and we all forgot about Luke Fortner. It's like, okay, like the center is taken care of. We're fine. So if you can re-up that again and hopefully bring in a guy that can last more than, 1 year, that would be great. But I'm not going to be worried about the center position, Brent, until I have to actually worry about it. Right. So I think there's plenty of ways that you can cover that hole. When we talk about the wide receiver position, that makes me a little more nervous. And obviously with Evan Ingram now too, that makes me a little more nervous as well, because Brenton Strange, okay, he's got to be the guy now. He's the guy now until he's not. Do you address it in the draft? I'm not sure in terms of free agent tight ends, Hamby. Maybe we can play that little game during a break or something like that, find some information of who's actually on the market or who could be on the market as a tight end. But do you address it there? Possibly, but we see what the Bears are doing, right? The Bears made a mistake with Justin Fields. They try to rectify that mistake by getting Caleb Williams now and literally throwing the kitchen sink with skill positions 1 year, and now it's bolstering an offensive line this up and coming year. And it's a lot of money going towards that. You know why? Because it's supposed to be worth it, because that's your franchise quarterback. We see Trevor Lawrence right now. Another offensive scheme he's got to learn. Another head coach he's got to learn to play with. New teammates will be coming in as well. The only consistent thing that he really has right now is, running backs that he knows, but, what is that going to look like? And Brian Thomas Jr. and some Brenton Strange as well. So I just think going forward, man, they have to do right by Trevor Lawrence, because we're in year 5, whatever it is, asking, is he truly the guy? Which we shouldn't be having to ask that question, but let's be honest, we are. And a lot of that isn't his fault. But I just want to see this team now give him every tool possible to be successful, whether it's on the offensive line, spending money there, whether it's the skill positions, or if you have to upgrade the running game a little bit, so be it. But I just need to see Trevor Lawrence with weapons and a great offensive line to know if he's even the guy or not. Like, we're paying him like the franchise guy. We all believe he is, but we still got to see it for ourselves.
Hamby, I come away with this yesterday. I was like, thank goodness for Brian Thomas Jr., because you could have the two backs, you could have Trevor, you could have Gabe Davis, you could have the two tackles, you can have Ezra Cleveland. But if you lose Evan Ingram and Christian Kirk, and you don't have the production of Brian Thomas Jr. and what that represents, you'd feel a certain way, a different way. It doesn't make it impossible. It doesn't mean you couldn't go get DK Metcalf and other guys, or a Travis Hunter and whatever. I'm just telling you, today you would feel a different way. And I think there's two big things after the surface stuff of who they lost yesterday, who they cut, what they lost, what we just spent an hour and change talking about. And that is Trevor Lawrence. Okay, it's a reboot here. It's kind of another restart. And you can only have so many of those to be a successful quarterback, in my opinion. You can only have so many of those. And we're on like the third iteration of this now with Trevor in 5 years. They've got to settle this thing down. But the other big takeaway is, thank goodness for Brian Thomas Jr. And he's a dude. And Trevor has that, right? I mean, that is a huge deal for Trevor to have Brian Thomas Jr. to lean on, grow with, evolve with here, and now maybe even go get another piece.
Absolutely, yeah. I think, like Duval Paul said in the chat, this reminds him of the Chargers. Well, the only difference is we still have a guy. It's Brian Thomas Jr., and I know that it's not he was saying 100%, but it reminds him. And yeah, you're taking away weapons, at least for now. Obviously, we still think that we're going to add to that in free agency. The Chargers couldn't because they didn't have the capital, right? So nothing's going to be as bad as that. And Herbert still made it work, right? And why was that? They put the responsibility on Herbert because they paid him to do stuff like that. Well, could we see something like that in Jacksonville? Again, we think we're going to have more help than Herbert did, but even if they don't, right, even if it's just like they take a guy in the second round and they don't go add in free agency, then that'd be decently similar. Like, that's Trevor's responsibility to, and that's the expectation of, even if we don't go get a guy in free agency, to still elevate the offense, to go elevate Parker into becoming the next Christian Kirk. to continue to get Brian Thomas Jr. to ascend. Because one thing that's, it's one thing for Brian Thomas Jr. to do what he did, but it's going to take him and his relationship with Trevor Lawrence to improve for him not to plateau, for him not to take a step back, right? We see rookie receivers do it, right? But what does BTJ's next step look like? Because he's proved that he could do it. And here's the comforting thing for me. If they don't go and get a free agent to really pair with Brian Thomas Jr., because everybody under the sun has been like, oh my gosh, Brian Thomas Jr., 200 targets, Brian Thomas Jr., number one fantasy receiver. Like at one level, yes. At the other level, like, he showed what he could do, because what you worry about is teams being able to double him, shadow, all of these things if there's not another weapon on the other side. At the same time, we just watched the last 6 weeks of the season where there wasn't. There was no Christian Kirk. There was no Evan Ingram for stretches, and he still put up numbers. He still produced, right? So I think that's going to be something that, depending on what they do in free agency, we have to remind ourselves of is BTJ. He seems, and he's shown so far that he's that good to where even if he is doubled, even if he is shadowed, even if there's not a guy on the other side that's really drawing attention, he's still going to produce for this offense.
Yeah, listen, you're almost saying he's Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson proof, where it doesn't matter what you throw at him, he's still going to get he's still going to get his targets, he's still going to be a fantasy darling. And that very well could be the case. But we've also seen, especially Justin Jefferson, there was some games where they couldn't get him the ball. Defenses took him away. But the difference between the Justin Jeffersons, the Jamar Chases, the Tyreek Hills, and everybody, and keep in mind when Tyreek Hill actually has a quarterback to throw him the football, A.J. Brown, another example, they have the 1B. They have the Jordan Addisons. They have the T. Higgins. They have the Jalen Waddles. They have the Devontae Smiths. The Jacksonville Jaguars don't have that right now, right? With all due respect to Gabe Davis, with all due respect to Parker Washington, until I see it with my own two eyes, I can't put you in that Jalen Waddle, Devontae Smith, Jordan Addison category. So this is why I feel like, and once again, maybe you address it in free agency. Maybe you throw the bank at somebody, a DK Metcalf. I'm sure fans would love to see that. But I really think, and my gut is telling me right now, and once again, it's hard to tell with Gladstone, who I feel like we've talked about it, is a little bit of a wild card. I feel like they're going to try to shore up the offensive line in the free agency, whether it's guards, tackles, whatever the case may be, center, you shore it up there, and at least your backup plan is going to be that wide receiver in the first round. That's, and I get it, we're still talking about, well, what about the defense and all this stuff? And yeah, that needs to be addressed as well. And let's not get ahead of ourselves here. But like I've been saying, guys, Trevor Lawrence, Cohen's here because of Trevor Lawrence, right? I still think Cohen has hope that he can get the best out of Trevor Lawrence. And you're not going to do that with the skills guys that you got right now. Brian Thomas Jr. is a big piece. I get all that. And maybe you can elevate Parker Washington, sure. But you need more. And I think if you were comfortable enough to let Christian Kirk get traded to Houston, and you're comfortable enough to let Evan Ingram walk, or maybe you eventually trade him, we'll see how that all turns out, you got to have a plan in place. And to me, the only surefire thing of that plan, maybe it's Cooper Kupp, maybe it's Chris Godwin, but that's not even a sure thing because you still have to be the highest bidder. The only sure thing that we know is that you could probably get the best wide receiver in the draft.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see if they do it that way, and that would be exciting. By the way, you go add that, and it's a very exciting piece. They just put a little more emphasis though on remaking that offense. So you got 4 pieces now to fix, and you were already thinking of maybe adding some other things anyway. So they just added to that, and maybe it now does become more priority than even the defensive side. Although there are some priority positions on that defensive side, and you've got a lot of space here to be able to fix things. Will you be able to fix as much as you want to? We will figure out. That's part of the equation of making more holes. Hey, don't forget this weekend, if you're car shopping, to check out Nimnik Buick GMC right off Phillips Highway, NimnikBuickGMC.com. Go check out those GMC Sierras. They've got good financing, great deals as well on the GMC Sierra 1500s, and plenty of other cars and vehicles to look at right there at Nimnik Buick GMC. Off Phillips Highway, NimnikBuickGMC.com. GMC, we are professional grade. Before I get out here and go talk to class, I might join you guys in the next hour still. You guys are going to continue on with the Jags discussion and other things. A few other just sports notes to catch everybody up on.
Again, the Amelia has shifted their Sunday events to Saturday. So if you planned on going up there, make sure you do it today or tomorrow at the 30th Amelia. Also, NHRA Gator Nationals in town. That's all weekend long. It was great to visit with Ron Capps yesterday. Monster Jam tomorrow night, and Finn Carlin took you there on Action News Jax this morning. We might even share a little bit of that later on in the show. Ponte Vedra basketball plays for a state championship tonight at 7 o'clock. So good luck to the Sharks as they try to chase a state title. Jacksonville University hoops team lost in the ASUN semifinals yesterday to North Alabama. Their season comes to an end at 19-13. Also, we've got some Epson ladies golf at Atlantic Beach Country Club at the Atlantic Beach Classic presented by Access Golf. You can also do your own golfing with the Action Sports Jax Dream 18 card. Just go to Action Sports Jax Dream18.com. I think I caught you up on most of the local things happening. The Players. That's happening too. Yeah, next week. We'll be live from the Players all next week here with the Brent and Austen Show on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. The Heritage Classic rains and Reebok baseball tonight at Braken Field at the baseball ground. Stuart Weber will have that covered for you. And then, of course, we have Action Sports Jax primetime, 10:30 on Fox 30, 11:30 on CBS 47 Saturday and Sunday night. Just a fantastic local sports time of year. We want to make sure we give a lot of love and mention to all the things happening, not just Jacksonville Jaguars moves, although next week is going to be very busy on Monday and Tuesday. We'll be right back on the Brent and Austen Show.
When it's time to get a new car for anyone in your family, just remember, nobody but Nimnick, the #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville. Get the latest price breaks on 2023 and 2024 models or the newest 2025 vehicles in the showroom on Phillips Highway or shop online at nimnickbuickgmc.com 24 hours a day. GMC Sierras, Yukons, and the redesigned Acadias, or get the all-new redesigned line with Buicks. It's nobody but Nimnick, and part of the reason why is this is a first-class buying experience here at Nimnick Buick GMC. You're not just a customer, you're a friend. This is about getting a vehicle that best fits you and getting you on the road, and also helping you and your family down the road. Nimnick has a treating you right guarantee, courtesy, respect, fairness. And most Buicks, GMCs, and Jacksonville's only Car Bravo dealer, nobody but Nimnick. Who has put in the most years and stands behind a better experience? Nobody but Nimnick. GMC, we are professional grade.
2024 provided plenty of memorable moments for the Jacksonville Armada on the pitch, including another conference championship game appearance for Tommy Krasanovich's under-23 men's team.
They sit in the dying moments.
Debuting this year for the first time, the girls in blue as the Armada fielded a women's under-23 side in the WPSL and made its presence known with some highlight moments.
Potential goal of the season.
Then attention turned to the future, with MLS Next teams representing the Armada badge in 3 age divisions this fall, including an under-19 squad ranking among the best in the state. Those teams are a big focus on Fleet and Footy, covering the big soccer stories each week on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
I'll put one in the back of the net for you.
Join us for player profiles, fun interviews, and the very latest on the Fleet and all things footy. That's every Thursday at 2 p.m.
I've been telling you about CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing for a long time now. Their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants.
We've had a Connecticut water softener and drinking water system in our home for more than 7 years. You can see the difference whether you're washing clothes, the dishes, or what I like to do most, fill this up for some coffee every morning, and mostly all day. Remember, if you're not filtering your water, you are the filter. Don't be the filter.
Right now, you can save $500 on a Connecticut Premier Softener and get a free Connect Salt Monitor with purchase. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free and determine your water score. Don't know your water score? CGC will find out and recommend the appropriate Connecticut water treatment solutions so you can improve it. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. Ask about our 90-day love it or leave it guarantee. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
There's a saying in sports, you can't win them all, but you can win a lot with good folks on your team. Like that one painter, First Coast. It's tough to beat the sun in Florida, so your home fades. It's tough to beat that HOA when they come calling. Beat the sun, beat the HOA with that one painter, First Coast. And it's a good time to do it.
less rain to work around, and painting in mild temperatures is perfect. After all, the paint bonds to the surface so much better. Give That One Painter First Coast a call at 904-417-3557 or look them up at first-coast.thatonepainter.com. Fast estimate, guidance on color and HOA requirements, and the highest quality job you'll find anywhere. Be a big winner in your neighborhood with That One Painter First Coast on your team.
When it comes to trucks, I know exactly what I want. And at Bozard Ford, they make it easy to get exactly that. Let's go make this truck a little more my style. With Bozard Built, I can create my perfect truck right here. Lift kit? Check. Premium wheels? You bet. Advanced lighting package? Oh yeah. The Bozard team works their magic. From bumper to tailgate, I'm making this truck mine. It's everything that I wanted and more. From the field to the gym to weekend adventures. This truck's built for my journey. Bozard Built. Customized for your lifestyle, built to exceed your expectations. Check out the inventory and available options at bozardbuilt.com. Unleash your dream ride. Customized, covered, and Bozard approved.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austen Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jags 24/7 network.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austen Show. You're looking at all the guys that are now no longer with the Jacksonville Jaguars. And look, $60 million in cap space, right? $60 million. That looks like is what we're going to have. And you got to like that. You got to like that. I think one of my biggest questions over this offseason, Austen, is going to be, because when we start to sign guys, obviously free agency next Monday, that's when it starts. We're going to expect to see quite a few signings, I would assume. But how many of those guys are role players as far as like a Darby, like a Ronald Darby?
Yep.
Right.
Or how many are going to be pillars? Because people seem to not know what I'm talking about when I say pillars in the chat either.
Well, perhaps we revisit that. But I think so. How many guys are going to be the role? How many guys are going to be the pillars? And that brings me to this, because when we're gauging next week, come this time when we've got multiple signees under the belt, is did they go get the position that we wanted, right? Because they're gonna have to pick and choose. Maybe for example, they go get a stud safety, but for center, they get a role player, and then that means they got to draft the right guard, or they go get the stud receiver, but then they got to go get the role player corner or whatever. My question is, if you get one position where they got to go all in for the stud, for the top guy on the market, or one of them, and they got to really pay out a big contract, which position would that be?
It's a good question. Dude, it's so hard because, listen, I'm trying to put myself in Gladstone's shoes, but it's like they're impossible shoes to put yourself in, because he's been a part of an organization and a regime that has done things so many different ways. But if you're asking me what I think is going to happen, I think they take more of you almost call it the Cincinnati Bengals approach, where I think they're going to spend their most money in the trenches. And when I say trenches, I mean offensive trenches, maybe some defense as well. But I think they're going to spend their money on necessarily big names, but not like a DK Metcalf or a T Higgins or a Devontae Adams, anything like that. Now they might, who knows? Maybe Liam Cohen sees something in Adams, right? I don't know if I really do. Maybe he sees something in DK Metcalf. I don't know, man. Is he a possession receiver? Is he kind of like a higher powered Gabe Davis, if you will, who's just a deep guy? I think they're going to address it on the center and the interior offensive line. Those are the two positions I feel like you're going to spend the most money on. And the reason why I compare it to the Bengals is because I think they're going to go all in now with an offensive-minded coach, a fresh offensive-minded coach, and a guy in Gladstone who comes from an organization where, yeah, you had Aaron Donald and you had a great defense there, but your identity was giving yourself pieces on that offense with Sean McVay. And I think like when you look at how you got Brian Thomas Jr., last year, a la kind of like a T. Higgins or whatever, now you go ahead and shore that up with a Jamar Chase. Go ahead and shore it up with a first-round wide receiver, or maybe Tyler Warren now, just because, I think in terms of blocking, in terms of being like that next big thing at the tight end position, he very well could be that. So I do think like, if you're a GM and you want to make a big splash, have a sexy pick, then yeah, go ahead and get the best wide receiver. What do you think it's going to be, that guy from Arizona, McMillan? What do you think it's Travis Hunter? Or whether you go tight end and make it Tyler Warren, but like that's the splash play. That's the play that's going to be like, okay, now we're cooking. Now Trevor's feeling good about himself. That's what I think is going to happen.
Okay, so let me dwindle it down a little bit more. So I'm going to give you 6 positions that the Jags need. Okay? And let's just say they sign a guy at each spot in free agency. Role player, decent contract, nothing crazy at all. One position is the big contract of the offseason. Okay? You get receiver, you get tight end, you get center, and you get right guard. And on the defensive side of the football, you've got corner and safety. One spot gets the big deal. Which position would it be?
I mean, dude, we're so focused on the offensive side of the ball. And this is talking to me, who is obviously all about the defensive side of the ball. If I'm going to drop some serious coin on one position, I'm going guard. Because I feel like with the center position, you can find a center, and I get like, okay, people say, well, Luke Fortner, you found him for a year, and then look what happened. I get it. But I think you can find a center later in the draft. There's not a high demand for him, right? There's not going to be a premium on the center position. You might be able to get the best one, maybe in the second or whatever, mid, second, third round, whatever the case may be. So I'm not worried about the center. I think at corner, it's interesting, right? Because you got to address that spot. And there are some free agents out there that you can try to make a play for. And I get that. But I would rather just shore up the guard spot and then maybe address corner and then the draft, even though it's probably going to be safer to pay a corner a lot of money and then get the guard in the draft. I just think like if Gladstone's feeling himself, if he wants to make a statement in this draft, I feel like you got to do it at the offensive skill position. So to answer your question, I think you're going to spend the most money on guard. And then second, let's go ahead and say, just for the sake of the argument, let's go ahead and go corner.
All right. I think there's a very, very good chance that the Jags go get a receiver in free agency and then potentially supplement that more future looking with another receiver in the draft in the second, third, fourth round. Right, I think it's a high possibility, and that would fit that narrative of really trying to, increase the weapons of Trevor Lawrence. I could also see it. Look at the Rams model. The Rams model has been, at least recently,
get all pro receivers in the third or fourth round. Let's do it.
Well, and this is a side note. If you expect that Gladstone's just going to be able to pick a stud receiver, a Puka Nacua in the 5th round of every draft, like let's be for real. Okay, let's just be for real on that. Okay, but if you look at their model, though, they focus more on the defense, right? Signees and draft, and then the offensive line, and then let the line take care of everybody else more so. When's the last time the Rams went out and paid a big receiver, right? Now they've dished out big contracts before, but in the last couple of years, most specifically, obviously the Gladstone years and the recent ones, they have not done that. I could see where, again, the Jags don't go sign a free agent receiver. They go get a second-round receiver. They really build up the trenches, and they spend their big dollars on the defense and then the offensive line, and say, look, again, that's up to Trevor Lawrence to elevate, similar That would be kind of Rams model. That would be kind of Chargers model. So if I've got to pick a position where they go they signed the biggest contract of the offseason for that position, I think I would take corner. And I think that would be followed by right guard. So you had right guard center, or you had right guard corner. I think I have corner, right guard. I think those are the two spots. I agree. Center. Another side note on center. Everybody in the world, I have not seen a mock draft in 3 days that didn't have the Jags taking Jared Wilson, the Georgia center, which obviously I'm all about it. Which would be great for me. But let's just, and again.
Hang on, Hamby. They have him going in the second or what do they have him going?
Third round. I think people would say second round would be a reach if you were kind of desperate and made sure that was your guy. But most third round, and that's with him being the 1 or 2 center off the board. It's really him and Jake Majors from Texas of the only centers. If I had to guess, I'd say they're historically, I don't think there's more than 5, and I could be wrong on this. There's not more than 5 centers taken in a draft every year. Because obviously there's just one of them. We know that. But it's not like there's ever a center going to be taken. There's rarely a center taken in the second round. Jackson Powers Johnson was remember from last year, he was mocked to the Jags a lot. He was the big time outlier. He was seen as that, influential and that much of an impact player. But yes, I've seen Jared Wilson every single mock draft. And if I do another one, which I will, I'll probably take Jared Wilson as well because I like that. And that kind of solves that issue. At the same time, I'll follow that up with this. Do you want a rookie offensive lineman as the guy that you're depending on from week 1 to week 17 in their rookie year?
Yeah, I mean, I think you feel better from Trevor Lawrence's sake if you get maybe a rookie wide receiver as opposed to a rookie offensive lineman, right? Because regardless of how highly touted that offensive lineman is, and let's call a spade here, if you really do draft a guard or whatever the case may be, an offensive lineman, even if you want to go tackle in the top 5, like you probably trade back a little bit. You know what I'm saying? That's going to be the case. So I do agree with you, Hamby, where I feel like, and once again, I have to look up the on website stuff to see like who's actually available in terms of guards and everything. But I feel like that's the move to make. And I understand with all the moves that have gone down, all the big names that have gone down, this is a very offensive driven episode, and we haven't really talked a lot about the defense. But keep in mind, and I'm with you, everybody. Like, I think a wide receiver or Tyler Warren in the first round, I think a lot of people share my sentiments here, would be exciting. And I'm all for that. I think you still have to shore up the defensive line interior-wise, and maybe there's a guy out there in free agency that can help you do that. But, like, that still has to be a priority as well.
Okay.
Right? Like, it's fun to talk about the pie in the sky skill positions because they're more fun to talk about. We live in a fantasy era, but we still have to keep in mind the trenches, even on defense, still need to be addressed as well.
Yeah. I'm just curious to see if the fan base would be comfortable if we, for instance, went with Jared Wilson in the 3rd round and he is the guy at center and he's starting, right? And we roll into week 1, the 2025 football season, with Jared Wilson starting at center as a rookie, and then say we paid a right guard. I'm just wondering if they would be comfortable with that. Personally, I think I would be. I think if you have one rookie
it worked for Philly,
right, who was the best of their position. Well, that is true.
Well, they have other players, but yeah,
right, who are helping him out. But I think I would be comfortable with that. But if I go rookie at right guard and paid a middle of the pack center to shore that up, I think I'd be less comfortable. Truly.
Oh, geez, yeah.
So I think, yes, that's why I'm putting right guard definitely above that. Corner's going to be the one for me. I think I'm most curious to see what they do because for me, I don't think the corner class that's coming out, there's a lot of guys. There's a lot of guys that are likable. I'm not sure where it stacks up with the ones in the past. I know that last year the corner was the talk of the town, and we were the only ones, it seemed like, that were like, let's not do corner at 17. Let's take let's take Brent Jr. Obviously, we ended up training back.
It worked out well. Yeah,
it did. But it seemed like that was the only thing that everybody wanted to talk about. We're in a spot right now where we need corner more this year, I would say, than last year, because Tyson Campbell had nagging injuries again. He did not play up to his standard again, right?
Daniel Jones established himself as a nickel, but you still need the other guy.
As far as outside guy, we need a corner more this year than on paper than we did last year. Am I wrong about that?
You are not wrong. No. So then, Hamby, let me go and ask you this then. See, but I keep forgetting that you need an interior. You need an interior defensive line. I get Eric Armstead now playing the proper spot. It's like you can't be satisfied with what you've seen yet. So let me ask you this: would you rather see receiver at 1 and then corner or defensive interior number like in the second round?
Sure.
Or would you rather see the defense get addressed with arguably, obviously, the best cornerback or the best defensive tackle, and then wide receiver be addressed in the second round?
Yeah, you know where I stand. I'm a big Mason Graham guy, despite all of the moves and that now all the holes that we'll have on the offense. Because right now, as of a week ago, I would have told you we have more holes on defense because we only had one true hole on offense, and that was right guard. Well, obviously, Kirk and Ingram. We have more holes on offense now. I still think we should take defensive line. I might change on that based off of what we do in free agency. All this depends on free agency. That's obvious.
It does.
Right? Yeah. However, for me, I think, look, if I'm going to trust Trevor, I'm going to trust the scheme of Liam Cohen, then it's going to be less dependent on getting the best guy at the receiver position. If I believe in Liam Cohen, then I would be silly to not believe that he could go take a second-round receiver and make him an absolute stud. Because on day 2 of the draft, if we were to take fill in the blank, Trey Harris from Ole Miss in the second round at pick 36 or 40 or whatever we end up being, then I'm going to be all in on that because I believe in Cohen. Like, that would be the switch up for me to be like, no, I wish we would have, made a bigger effort in the first round or made a bigger effort in, free agency. Like, if we're coming out there, like, here's my personal opinion, and this is almost a reoccurring theme for us on the show and the debate. And remember, when we talked all about weapons, this goes back to the very first week that we had on the Brent and Austen show a year ago. What kind of weapons do we need? Do we feel comfortable with, at the time, Calvin Ridley, Christian Kirk, Evan Ingram? That was some of our first conversations on this show.
Even so long ago, I know. Yeah.
Right? And I said, I'm comfortable. Yeah. I said I'm comfortable. Now, obviously, and I think, and you were looking at, hey, look, but T. Higgins, right? All these teams are continuing to add, and I was more hesitant. That's where we were, right? Yeah. Obviously, Calvin Lee decides to sign with the Titans, and we don't overpay. Thank goodness. We signed Brian Thomas Jr. We were all...
That's what that gets right there, because we got Brian Thomas Jr. So I'm going to give some fireworks.
That's 5 big booms also, depending on how you want to look at it. So I think I'm more hesitant with the weapons than maybe you are. All right, and that's a recurring debate within our fan base as well. As for me, if we go into week 1 of 2025 and our receiver room is BTJ, Gabe Davis, Parker Washington, and a second-round receiver, I'm all set. Personally. Yeah. That's without going to get anybody in free agency. Now, yes, will you go like an actual guy? Like, do you go get a $10 million a year guy to kind of supplement and at least fill out the room? Sure. But this with any of the top 10, I'm saying we don't do any of that, and we go get the second round with Brian Thomas Jr., Gabe Davis, Parker Washington. For me, I'm all right with that because that means, we built up the offensive line. I still trust the running backs to do a job, right? Yeah. And again, I still believe in Trevor Lawrence. Now, a lot of people are going to be like, if we don't go get a free agent receiver, we missed. We are failing to keep up with the times of the current NFL where you can't just have one guy and supplement him. You've got to have 2 big guys, and then you supplement both of them So where are you on that? How important is going to pay a big receiver in free agency, especially after you just tried to save money with Christian Kirk?
Yeah. So it's a good point, Hamby. Here's how I look at it. When I look at what in the hierarchy of importance going into this up and coming season, where does everything fall? And I think, yeah, obviously you want to win a Super Bowl. Yeah, obviously you want to win a division, everything like that. But like it's baby steps, everybody. Okay. Like we can't get to the Super Bowl until we take the baby steps to try to get to that point. So what I think is the most important thing right now is having zero excuses for Trevor Lawrence. Now, what do I mean by that? Through the tenure of Trevor Lawrence's career, it hasn't, at least for and once again, and I get everyone's up and down with this topic, but here's how I feel. I don't think we've gotten the best out of Trevor Lawrence, and I don't think when we brought him in and we were all celebrating and we were throwing parades, I don't think we expected to be here. And that's a fair assessment. And when I say here, I mean the playing ability of Trevor Lawrence.
Mm-hmm.
I thought by this point he would be a top 5 quarterback. And he's not. Simple as that. Now, before I get lambasted on social media, let me say this. He's had a lot of things to point to say, well, I can't be a top 5 quarterback because of this.
Mm-hmm.
I can't be a top 5 quarterback because, well, my rookie year, who are my weapons? I can't be a top 5 quarterback because, well, we had Urban Meyer. I can't be a top 5 quarterback because, well, the defense didn't really have my back. I can't be a top 5 quarterback because, well, how many drops did we have? I can't be a top 5 quarterback because, well, the offensive line didn't really keep me upright like I wanted to. I got hurt. So we've had a lot, and I'm not even calling them excuses because they're excuses, but they're true. But we've had a lot of things to point to say, I don't know if Trevor's the guy or not, and here's why. Like, Hamby, it's not supposed to work like this. We're not supposed to be whatever now, going into the 5th, 6th season, whatever the case may be of Trevor Lawrence and saying, man, he's the guy, right? Like, we're sure he's the guy, right? Because even when he's been healthy, even when he's had guys healthy at wide receiver, like he's had some bad throws. He's had some bad plays, okay? Like it hasn't been perfect. And this is the problem with guys like Patrick Mahomes and guys like Joe Burrow and even guys like Justin Herbert who can come in right away, who have a lot at their disposal. And it's like, oh, dude, look at, like, that's what it's supposed to look like. Got it. Okay, noted. Well, Trevor hasn't had that. So my main goal this season, and it starts now in the offseason with free agency and the draft, is to make sure that he doesn't have any more excuses, that we can't point to anything and say, well, this happened, so we don't know yet. We have to know if Trevor Lawrence is the guy. That's the top priority. So shore up the offensive line. Shore up the offensive interior, first of all, in free agency, or do whatever you got to do there. Next, get him another weapon, right? Because right now, and I get Parker Washington can be intriguing, but right now, Gabe Davis, Parker Washington, Brian Thomas Jr., that's not good enough. That's not good enough to trot out there and say, all right, Trevor, well, then go be elite because you have the pieces to be that. No. Give me the Jordan Addison to Justin Jefferson. Give me the Jalen Waddle to Tyreek Hill. Or if you want to go the tight end position and draft, the dude from Penn State, then so be it. But give him more because we need to see it. I need to know if we have a franchise quarterback that's going to be, the guy for years and years to come, or if he's so jaded because of what's happened the first, tenure of his career where he's just not that guy. I need to know that. So that's my top priority, Hamby. And yes, I'm a defensive-minded individual. And this is coming from a guy who's preaching, we got to show up defensive tackle. I'm not confident in Eric Armstead yet. I'm not confident, in guys like Mason Smith last year in terms of can they carry the workload. But the most important thing has to be Trevor Lawrence. That's why Liam Cohen's here. That's why Gladstone, coming from LA, and he saw how the quarterbacks played out there, that's why he's got to be on the same point as well. This is about Trevor, man. Like, I get it's a team game and everything, but we got to know about Trevor before we can take steps forward to a division title, to a Super Bowl, and hopefully, more importantly than anything, sustain success.
Print that out, baby. Print it out.
There you go, man. There you go.
Yeah, all right. I think I could be swayed either way, right? Whether we go pay a guy or not. If we go pay a guy, the only problem is how much, right? And not because it's my money, but because that's how I'm going to view what you thought of Christian Kirk, right? Is because the priority with Kirk was to save money. And if you go pay another injury-riddled guy a ton of money, I'm not going to trash it, but that's how you're putting the microscope is going to be on, right? And how you evaluated that and if that guy pans out. One of those guys that a lot of Jags fans have been looking at, have been putting on their wish list, is this guy right here. That's DK Metcalf. Perhaps we'll talk a little bit about him after the break. I threw up this graphic yesterday because it's just funny. Yeah,
it's gonna be a no for me, dog.
Right, a first and a third. That's never happening, especially with that contract. But if something else could be done with that deal, would you want to execute it? Would you want DK Metcalf to be a Jaguar? Perhaps we touch that on the other side. We'll be right back on the Brent and Austen Show on a Friday.
If you don't see a pit, it ain't legit. When you hear that, you think Bono's Pit Barbecue, a staple in Northeast Florida now for 75 years. A place that feels like home with friendly service, a meeting place for friends, family, or business occasions. On the menu, the corn nuggets are a favorite in our house, but there's something for everyone. Sandwiches, platters, salads, sides, desserts, and family feasts. You see Bono's all over the place in Northeast Florida. You know, there are almost 20 locations in the Jacksonville area now, so stop on by, sit down, and dine in with Bono's. You can also take it to go. There are drive-thrus in many of the locations, and they have delivery options too. Just download the Bono's app to make things easy. I signed up for the loyalty program, and you can too, to get special offers. If Jacksonville is home, few things feel more Jacksonville than Bono's Pit Barbecue. Celebrate 75 years and many more to come. Bono's Pit Barbecue. If you don't see a pit, it ain't legit.
For the game day hustle and every day in between. Juggling my show, Jags Social, to going under the Friday night lights and a social life, it's a daily tournament. But this ride, MVP status. The all-new 2024 Lincoln Nautilus isn't just my car, it's my personal locker room, office on the go, and VIP lounge on wheels. Let's talk tech. My profile remembers everything from customizing my dash display to setting the ambient lighting and my signature scent. And wireless charging, essential for live tweeting scores. Whether I'm packing for a beach day with friends or heading to the gym, there's space for every passion. After dominating all day, this becomes my recovery zone. The massage feature is like having a personal PT on call. Life's a non-stop game, but with this ride, I'm always on my A game. The 2024 Lincoln Nautilus. Drive your passion.
You trust CGC to make your water great, and now you can trust CGC with your plumbing needs as well. Fast, convenient scheduling, licensed and insured. A quick call away at 904-552-1242.
You never know when you're going to have an issue with a shower, toilet, or maybe it's a sink that sometimes is easy to fix. All right, let's be honest. I'm not fixing anything. I'm totally staging this because when I have a plumbing problem, I call CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing.
Trained professionals, transparent pricing, customer satisfaction. Small problem or even a bigger issue. Right now, you can take 10% off any water heater. The experts with 25 years of experience at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing can do it all. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. For a limited time, CGC is waiving the trip charge on all related plumbing calls. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579. It's the place we party in football season with Jaguars All Access.
Welcome to String Sports Brewery, everybody. Say hello to our guest tonight. That is Trevor Lawrence.
You can bring your party or event to String Sports Brewery in Springfield any day and any time. Rehearsal dinners, corporate events, birthdays. Here at Strings, you can enjoy the inside area and the outside area. Good for any weather, good for any occasion. Watch the games, play the games, shoot some hoops. Beer? Yeah, they have that. Plenty of choices. And sure, this is a brewery, but Strings is also a restaurant, and the food is fantastic. A full menu made from scratch meals. And if you need String Sports Brewery to help with a party at your place, they cater too. Family, beer, food, sports. Spring Sports Brewery in Springfield.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austen Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jags 24/7 network.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austen Show, taking a look at our daily schedule. Today's Friday edition. And look, we had some interesting conversation on Stadium Pulse. It's actually not listed at 9 a.m., but you can see a replay of it at 3. That was this morning, 9 to 10 a.m. Tennessee, Nick and I talking college football for an hour every Friday morning. Perhaps that will expand coming into the 2025 season. Stay tuned for that. But Austen, have you seen Tennessee, Nick, recently?
Man, I haven't been home recently. I mean, I haven't been in Jacksonville in a minute. I haven't seen Tennessee Nick in a good while. The human enigma. What have I missed?
He didn't wear a hat today.
Okay, showing off the head of hair. And what are we dealing with?
Shaved it.
Like a buzz cut, right? Like
buzz cut.
Like a one or like a half, like
no
to the skin.
Yeah,
a one,
pretty much.
A one.
A one.
Can I ask why?
A wedding reset, I believe. And I'm not trying to roast the hair. I like his hair. It was more so he walked in and he didn't have a hat on, and I was like, brother, I see you pretty much every day.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I have ever seen you without a hat on. Now, I've been accused of a guy who relies on the hat too much. I'm a big hat guy. Got a collection. Got it all.
Which is crazy, man, because you got a nice head of hair. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're kind of in the prime of your life right now, and you're kind of letting it go to the wayside with hats.
No.
That's not me. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, but, so I don't do anything to my hair. Whatever it is, it is. Like, product, zero. Time spent in the mirror. Like, when I come in at whatever time I come in the morning, like, trust and believe that I woke up 15 or 20 minutes prior to that, and my drive is 10 minutes. Okay? It's the shower, and we're immediately out. I don't look in the mirror. Sometimes, like, a week will go by, and I'm like, oh, I didn't even know that I had, grown a little facial hair or anything. Like, I don't look in the mirror. It's all good. Sure. Not my thing.
Especially because you're always in the dark, it seems like there, that studio as well, where you're sitting.
It's true. I got a light.
The lighting couldn't be more. I can't believe Brent didn't say anything. Looks like you're shooting like the next reboot of Nosferatu for more of like a teen generation. But go ahead. Sorry.
Never heard of that, but I'm gonna get roasted for that, but no problem.
You're good, man.
But there's hardly a better feeling for me than to be able to wake up and like immediately the hat goes on, and we're just rocking with that all day. Like, I know that a lot of people will probably be jealous of the fact that I'm able to do that. Right? They've got to wear this, and they got to be, they got to look the part. But to be able to just flip the hat on, we're rocking there all day, and some sweatpants sometimes, I'm good. I just would like to point out the fact that I was genuinely taken back by seeing Tennessee Nick without a hat. So I figured I'd ask if you'd ever seen him without one as well.
Nah, man, that's wild. Yeah, I mean, I wish you would have took a picture and put it on the stream, even though that probably would have collapsed our stream. But no, man, like, so he's doing a wedding reset, is what he told you, like a wedding cleanse. He's getting married, coming up, and everything. So he wants to redo the whole thing, huh?
Yeah, kind of get a fresh start and make it a certain way.
Is he a Buddhist? Why is he shaving his head? I don't get it.
Not that. I think honestly, it could be because he wears a hat so much that his hair has like grown it, or like because you got this, like if you have a part. Like my dad's rocked the same hairstyle since he was 14 years old. Like,
hey, man, I'm with you, dude.
Like, it doesn't matter if he wears a hat. If it doesn't matter how long it is, it's gonna look the exact same. If he runs, like, if he even tried to comb it the other way, ain't happening. Sure. Right?
Yeah.
More good for him. He's still got it. Hopefully, I do too. So maybe that's the case, and we had to shave it to get a reset. To maybe I don't know, but that's what happened this morning.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's insane, man. I can't wait to see it in full effect. This whole wedding cleanse, this wedding reset, if you will. I mean, dude, your big day is coming up, and sorry, I'll RSVP when I can. I totally missed that date. My bad. I had a lot of things going on the past couple of weeks.
You had.
Are you doing like anything like are you? I mean, because you're already in shape. Because I feel like some people are, I got to fit in this tuxedo and stuff, or I got to do this. Like, I mean, you got any kind of like pre-wedding mindset, or are you just like, dude, you're just gonna show up, do your thing, and get out?
No, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I mean, as long as I'm clean shaven the day before, then I'm good. Still lifting every day, so we're chilling. I'm not going I'm not going on a juice cleanse. Okay.
Yeah. Little fasting, something like that. You're good to go. Okay.
Yeah, I'm good.
Fair enough.
All right. Back to football. Just had to
do it. How are the comments looking, by the way? Because Brent likes to address the comments these days. So
yeah,
I can't see them.
It's been fun. There's been I think people are thinking that I'm upset about the comments. I'll just put this out there. Really?
No,
I'm not upset about it. I'm not upset about the comments about me. I'm upset about the comments about Christian Kirk, right? And everybody kind of took that as I think he's a great, an unbelievable football player. I think I saw, Heavy thinks Christian Kirk's better than BTJ. All right, that was good. So like I like seeing that. That's entertaining. I laugh.
Yeah.
I don't want to revisit too much, but let me be very clear. Okay, I thought that the Jags were going to release Christian Kirk. I got it. The problem is after he's released / traded, my problem is with the people that be like, he's washed.
Okay.
If you want to be like, yeah, all right, I'm going to miss him. Good football player. He got released. I didn't think he was going to be that good. I'm glad to see him go. I'm cool. But if you step over that line and be like, no, he's washed, that's what got me. That's what gets me, is when after the guy's gone, then we want to be like, yeah, we weren't going to miss him. Yeah, he wouldn't have done anything in Jacksonville. His time was up. Like, that's what I can't, I'm not letting that one slide because, look, if you want to debate if he's great or good, and whether he would have had 1,200 yards or 850 and whether that's worth the money, by all means, man, do it to your faces, whatever, right? Yeah. But if the debate is whether he's a solid football player and a guy that can help you or he's washed, that's where I'm going to hop in. Okay. Coach Ripley. Yeah, go ahead.
I was a little confused because I felt like we were on the same page about the Kirk thing. Now, I wasn't sad to see Christian Kirk go because I thought that was going to always kind of be the case. And I think me and Brent disagree a little bit in terms of where he's at in terms of his career. Like, I said, I think Cooper Kupp's a better player than Christian Kirk. And I think Brent disagreed with me a little bit, which is cool. I mean, I think there is room for debate there. I just think that in terms of resume, in terms of going forward, I get that Christian Kirk's younger, but he's also going into his 8th or 9th season. So like, I feel like we've seen what we've seen. And I feel like if Cooper Kupp can stay healthy, this is a guy coming off of a Triple Crown a couple years ago. So that's why I tend to give the edge to Cooper Kupp. But no, I was just surprised because like I felt like we're on the same page, Hamby, but maybe that was like the fundamental difference. But yeah, man, don't listen. And Brent does it sometimes too. You guys let the comments get to you too much, man.
No, like, it's fun.
I know it's fun, but like whatever, man. I ain't gonna tell you how to do anything. But like what I should do is just like screenshot. Well, I'm not gonna do it because then it gets too much attention. But I should screenshot like the DMs that I've gotten the past, week after my fight, or like even some of the mentions, because when people, and I don't want to say the guy's name, but when somebody, I guess, bet, I think it was $700 for you to KO somebody, which would have been like a plus whatever. And he said that he put his his family's food fund on it, which I'm sure is BS, but like, I get it. And then you're trying to threaten my life per se. Yeah, man, like I don't know you, so I'm all good. But like, and here's the difference. Like, a lot of these people in the chats, have I met these people? Probably not, man. If you see me in a bar, which I'm never really in, but if you ever see me around, you want a beer, let's have a beer. Let's celebrate. Let's hang out, man. I'm always down to shoot the what. But like, you can't let it get to you, Hamby. And Brent's been doing it for a while as well. But I'm not gonna lie. When I first started the show, this is the old show on the old station that I don't say by name because Brent's got a much better relationship with those people than I do. So I'm not going to say their name. But when I started that show with Brent, like one of the very first days, somebody like said one little thing on one of the chats. And like, dude, that ate at me for like a whole week to the point where I did like a 10-minute monologue a week later about that comment because I couldn't let it go. But one of the many benefits I feel like of MMA and what I've learned in life is, man, you just gotta let that stuff slide because there's a lot of haters out there, and if you don't got haters, man, then you're not doing something right. So embrace the criticisms, man. Laugh it off and have fun with it, but don't take it too seriously.
Coach Ripley says, how about this? Let's have a fundraiser. You versus the talkers, all ref.
It's talking to me or you? You?
He's saying he would ref.
So for me, yeah, man, for sure. Yeah, I mean, that would be fun.
I'll announce it.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I've said this before many times, but like, dude, I mean, I played football for 5 years in the league, and I had this is back in the infancy of Twitter and everything, but I still got my fair share of DMs and criticism. But the MMA world it's just a different world because you don't necessarily have teammates to hide behind in MMA. It's just you out there putting yourself on the line. And when people do spend money on, to bet and everything, and you lose them money or you lose them, on their 8-leg parlay, which somebody had me on, which, hey, maybe you don't put a plus 400 underdog on an 8-leg parlay, but whatever, do you, dude? But, it's different, man, because these people just don't know what it takes to get in that cage, and they never will. And that's okay though, man. But it's the Wild West in social media with MMA. I'll say that much.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get back to some ball. One of the most curious things, interesting things going forward is how they address the tight end position for me, right? If they don't go get a big free agent, a pass-catching free agent, or they don't go get a Tyler Warren or something like that.
Can we get the list of free agents real quick, Hamby, for tight ends, just so we know what we're working with, man? Because, it's a conversation that needs to be had, but I need to know what we're working with here. Because if there's anybody like worth getting in free agency, then sure, let's maybe take a flyer. But if not, then it might be the Tyler Warren show at this point.
Yeah. All right, let me get that pulled up. I think so. My first question though is, if we don't go get one of those guys, what is the expectation going to be on Brenton Strange in 2025?
Yeah, it's a great question. So, listen, we've said this how many times during this show, and it feels like the past couple of weeks when Liam Cohen has been announced as the head coach. Liam Cohen doesn't owe these players anything, right? So it comes down to evaluation. And when you look at Brenton Strange, a guy drafted very high with the Balky regime, didn't really get his shine his first year at all. So it's just like, okay, that was kind of a wasted pick, if you will. And then I think this last season, he did show some things, right? He showed that he can be dependable in the red zone. He showed that he can be a dual threat guy. By dual threat, I mean the ability to block and the ability to pass catch. So he has made leaps and bounds of where we first saw him as a rookie. Mm-hmm. So there is some stuff to like. But then when we talk about Liam Cohen doesn't owe anybody anything. Well, then what is Liam Cohen seeing on film? I think he's seeing a guy that can be a great pass blocker, and maybe that's what Liam Cohen's looking for, right? Because there will be we're talking about Trevor Lawrence and Brian Thomas Jr. and drafting a first round wide receiver and maybe DK Metcalf or Cooper Kupp, and that's all fun and everything. But let's keep in mind, everybody, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers like to pound the rock as well, right? It was the emergence of Bucky Irving. So when we have that, we got to keep in mind, we're going to see Trevor Lawrence, sling the rock and everything, but I think it's going to be a balanced attack. And that's why I think, Brenton Strange is the guy that could be intriguing, because he is a tight end that can kind of do a little bit of everything, but it's not enough. Right? Like if you're going to run 2 tight end sets, I don't even know who the second tight end is right now. And that's probably bad on my part, but I really have no idea.
Because Farrell's we don't have Farrell, I don't think.
I don't think so. So I'm not sure who even the second tight end is right now. So there's definitely room for an upgrade. So to answer your question, Brenton Strange is going to be thrust into a bigger role right now, a bigger receiving role. He's going to have to be, right? Because, and this was more on the predication of Mike Evans and Chris Godwin getting hurt last year, but the tight ends of Tampa Bay, they feasted last year because, you had nobody else. So
we will have Farrell.
I'm sorry?
We will have Farrell.
Okay, Farrell another year. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, because I had no idea. Okay, so with that being said, do you address it in the draft or do you address maybe something in free agency? Do you got the list up, Hamby, of what we got in free agency?
Yeah, and I want to start.
It didn't sound promising when you said it, but go ahead.
No, it's not. It's not. It's definitely not.
Okay.
Let's start with the guy that I'm going to show you at the bottom of the list. There are more, but nobody at beneath that I did not include in this is really worth mentioning.
Gonna knock your socks off. Got it. Okay.
19 years of experience. Mercedes Lewis is available.
Bring him back. Bring him back home, everybody.
Come on.
I mean, listen, when it comes to run blocking abilities, there's nobody better, but I think we're probably gonna need a little more.
Chris Manhertz is also on this, not on this list, but is also available in the same regard.
Yep. We're all good.
Yeah. Okay. As far as pass catchers, Conklin's can catch the football. Sure. Gerald Everett shown, like Harrison Bryant and Pharaoh Brown, no. Austin Hooper probably not going to be worth at this stage of his career. Ertz is going to be 30, almost 35. Yes. Gesicki, maybe that's an option. Mike Gesicki to pair him.
Best gritty in the league. Yeah.
Best gritty in the league, and then then there's Mercedes. So if I had to wrap all this up, I'm good. I'm good.
Can you give me the stats on Tyler Conklin real quick?
Yep.
Where's he? Is he coming? Where's he coming from?
Tyler Conklin is that last minute fantasy stream when your guy's on bye and you don't have anybody else to throw in the tight end slot.
But who was his last? Yeah, but I'm trying to think. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to be honest, Hamby. It's not necessarily really a murderer's row of guys that
he went 55 or 50 catches, 500 yards, 4 tuds.
Okay, I was trying to see if he had any ties to Cohen, but I don't think he did.
No, he's been Vikings and Jets his whole career. He's going into its 8th season.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Yeah, man. Do you bring in Mike Gesicki and get arguably the best gritty in all professional sports? Maybe. But yeah, I think if we're being honest here, man, I would probably have kept Evan Ingram over any. Let's be honest here. Out of those names that we just saw, do you trust any of those guys over what you had with Evan Ingram?
Absolutely not. Not even close. And I don't think anybody would make that argument, to be fair. He is
by
far and away now the best tight end on the market. So, man, I can't wait to see what kind of money he gets and where he goes.
Mm-hmm. So Hamby, if that's the case, you can maybe get one of those guys, obviously, for a lot cheaper than you're probably going to pay Evan Ingram. But at the end of the day, are any of those guys going to be game changers? Are any of those guys gonna elevate the play of Trevor Lawrence? Probably not. Probably not really. So That's great English, Austin. Probably not really. But so then I think, yeah, that's where the draft's gonna have to come into play here.
Yeah, I'm with you. Again, do you sign one and if all of the attention goes to the receiver and you go get a stud and you just want to get a second tight end there just in case, and you go sign a Conklin for a minimal deal or a Gesicki for a minimal deal, I guess I would be all right. But it's just, Liam Cohen runs 2 tight end sets.
I know.
And he runs 2 back sets. He's got a lot of variations of that offense, which is a great thing. What will the progression of Brenton Strange look like? That's going to be perhaps one of the themes of the 2025 season and beyond. And look, when he had opportunities with Evan Ingram out, I mean, he did take advantage of them. Can he do that for over a 17-game span? Remains to be seen.
So I think it's safe to say, in terms of free agency, if you do address the tight end position, it's not like no one's going to be in the streets over Mike Gesicki or Gerald Everett, anybody like that. So that would have to be taken care of and in the draft if you want to upgrade. So then let me ask you this, Hamby. Once again, I get it. We have goo eyes right now for the offense, and the defense is going by the wayside, as much as I'm embarrassed to say that. But if we're playing along here and playing the game on the offense, what does more for you? What gets you more excited? What gets you in the streets celebrating, like when we got Brian Thomas Jr.? Are you more excited for a guy like Tyler Warren? Or are you more excited for a guy? And like, keep in mind, I think if you get Tyler Warren, you can probably trade back a little bit, so maybe you get a little more capital, right? But just for the sake of wherever the Jacksonville Jaguars pick in the first round, don't care if it's 5, don't care if it's 12, whatever the case may be, but just for the first round pick, what would you be more excited for? Tyler Warren or the best wide receiver?
I think I'd be the best receiver. Like, at the end of the day, I'm not a guy who's gonna demand that we go get T-Mac. But at the same time, like, if we're lining up week 1 and we got BTJ on one side and Ted on the other, like, holy cow, like, that would be insane, Yeah. I just think there are bigger needs and still good receivers that could be, Pro Bowl type on the opposite side later on. Tyler Warren, like, that was the thing we had the conversation last year, BTJ or Bowers. I'm positive we had that exact thing.
Dude, and I was just going to, you read my mind. I was just going to bring that up, where me and Brent got into a big debate when nobody else was talking about this, saying, hey, what about if we draft Brock Bowers?
Yeah.
Like, you have Evan Ingram coming off of a monumental season, but then you look at what the New England Patriots had back in the day when I used to play against them with a guy like Rob Gronkowski and a guy like Aaron Hernandez. And now, obviously, the Aaron Hernandez thing didn't pan out. But at the time, that was a tough Rubik's Cube to crack. Because, and I remember being in those defensive meeting rooms. Like, okay, well, we got a guy in Gronk who you would think, okay, he's more of like the run tight end. Like, he's more of the run blocking tight end. But guess what, man? The guy can catch as well. And people forget that Aaron Hernandez, when he was in the league with Rob Gronkowski and the Patriots, he was the go-to guy. He was the game wrecker. He was the X factor. He was the receiver where it's like, man, do you put a safety on him? Do you put a corner, an outside linebacker, and try to double him? What do you do with Aaron Hernandez? So I remember being in those meeting rooms trying to stop both of them. What happens. Gronk becomes Gronk, and unfortunately Aaron Hernandez goes down a slippery slope, and it is what it is. But like, I remember trying to game plan for that. So then we brought it to the table of, well, what happens if you get a guy like Brock Bowers? Now, hindsight being 2020, I think we're happy with Brian Thomas Jr.
Yes.
But to be fair, I think the Las Vegas Raiders, all things considered of a pretty crappy season, are excited about Brock Bowers as well.
Yeah, it would have ended up being a win-win.
Won. Yeah. So both teams won. I think we won a little better because, it's a wide receiver. I get all that.
Right.
But you look at a team like, for instance, the Detroit Lions. They draft Sam Laporta high when they didn't have to because they had a guy like TJ Hawkinson, who they eventually trade to a divisional opponent. But at the time, everyone's like, Sam Laporta, like, why? You got TJ Hawkinson. Like, yeah, he's going to command more money and everything, but like, you're really going to risk it that much? Risk it for the biscuit on a tight end out of Iowa again? Here we go. Well, how did that work out? had a monumental rookie season. And I get maybe he didn't have the best season last year, but man, he means a lot to that team. So it begs the question of, okay, like, yeah, a wide receiver would be great, helps out Trevor Lawrence. But don't get it twisted. If you can get a tight end, and once again, I don't think it'd be number 5 or top 10, you maybe trade back a little bit, but if you get a tight end that can be like the next Brock Bowers, that can be a Sam Laporta from his rookie season, I mean, what does that look like with Trevor Lawrence and Brian Thomas Jr., this offense with Liam Cohen?
Yeah, Coach Ripley in the chat says the middle of the field is the place where Trevor needs to improve.
Yep.
That's the key in this conversation compared to last year. Last year, we were talking about we want DVTJ because of the deep threat, right? The guy that could take the top off. We hadn't had that in Jacksonville. We hadn't had that in Jacksonville in 15 years, right? Yeah. You may, if you want to say Allen Robinson for a year or two, then be my guest, and he was great for a time being. But over a stretch, we have not had that guy, so we wanted BTJ. Right. This year, now that you've got him, same conversation, but do you put a little bit more emphasis on middle of the field, the seams, everything, or do you still want that guy on the other side that really stretches that defense more, stretches that safety? This goes back to this. Would you rather Trevor's strength improve that and make it even better and lethal, or improve the perhaps slight weakness, and so there's no weaknesses, and that's going to be personal preference. That's going to be personal preference.
It's going to be personal preference, Hamby, for sure. Man, and I go back and forth with this, right? Because I'm trying to think of like explosive offenses. I'm trying to think of some of the best offenses in the NFL of the past like 5 years, and you can go either way with this, right? Because I can sit here and say that when the Chiefs were the Chiefs and humming, Travis Kelce was that X factor.
Mm-hmm.
I can sit here and say, like a team like the Vikings, like, yeah, they have Hawkinson, but Hawkinson always felt like he's more of like the second tier compared to like Addison and Justin Jefferson. When you have the Eagles, I mean, they're everything, right? Because they have Dallas Goedert, they have Devontae Smith, AJ Brown, Saquon Barkley, so it's kind of hard to even put them in a category. You've seen the Bills try to do this with shoring up in the first round with tight ends, right? And not necessarily addressing the wide receiver position.
Yep.
You see what you can do with San Francisco and how they feel about the situation with a guy like George Kittle when you let a guy like Deebo Samuel go to Washington. So if you're asking, I mean, I can't believe I'm really go down this road right now. I would almost address the tight end maybe even more than the wide receiver if I know I'm getting like a Brock Bowers, if I know I'm getting like a Travis Kelce in his prime, if I know I'm getting a Sam Laporta of his rookie year. If I know I can get that and then I can scheme those mismatches, then yeah, man, I think Tyler Warren could be a very intriguing prospect. Now, that's on Gladstone to go and, you know, look at the film and say, can he be that guy? And I have to watch more film myself. But if he could, it would be hard to turn down, I think, because I don't want to see Tyler Warren go someplace else and, you know, become the next Travis Kelce, if you will. And all of a sudden it's like, well, could you imagine if he was here in Jacksonville?
Good point.
That's all I'm going to say about it.
Good point. And then you'd probably be doing the same thing with T-Mac wherever he goes to. We're going to take one more break. When we come back, we'll put a bow on the show, put a bow on a crazy weekend or a week. And, well, shoot, it's going to be another crazy one next week as well. We'll preview that. And we'll take one more look at this unbelievable class of tight end free agents. We'll be right back on the Brent and Austen Show.
The Tom Bush family of dealerships, they've been serving customers in the Jacksonville area for 55 years. They've been your go-to spot to get and stay on the road since 1970, and that's still the case here in 2025 and beyond, even if the cars have changed just a little bit.
Check out the sleek line of vehicles of the future. That's right, electric vehicles. Tom Bush offers a full lineup of reliable electric cars with state-of-the-art service facilities. Like the new VinFast, Tom Bush is among the first dealers in the entire country to offer the VinFast, and let me tell you, this thing is sweet. The good folks at Tom Bush have all the info on charging, service, tax credits, and everything you need to keep your EV running smoothly. BMW, Mazda, Volkswagen, Mini, and the newly offered VinFast. There's something for everyone at the Tom Bush family of dealerships. Ready to join the Tom Bush family? Stop by the showroom or check out the inventory online at tombush.com.
People helping people. It's at the core of what Alive Credit Union is all about, and it's been that way for over 70 years. From the start in 1954 to today, the mission remains to inspire financial wellness and give you a financially fit lifestyle. Alive Credit Union and its employees are committed to not only serving their valued members, but also our community here in Northeast Florida. I had a chance to see that commitment firsthand as Alive partnered with our Action Sports Jacks 24/7 team to bring you Armada men's and women's soccer broadcasts. Inside the 18, it is a shot, and it's a goal! Chloe Chivers! And that connection to the community continues with Alive Credit Union's support of the Police Athletic League of Jacksonville. Alive Credit Union's commitment to our community also involves serving the financial needs of all first responders through the recent merger partnership with City and Police Federal Credit Union. Join the community and become a member of Alive Credit Union today. Find out the many ways you can be inspired in financial wellness at alivecu.coop.
For 60 years, the Bob Hayes Invitational Track Meet has provided competitive events, and we're also happy to provide scholarship opportunities too. Join us for the annual Hall of Fame Gala March 13th at the Potter's House and at the James Day Middle School Meet at UNF March 14th.
There they go.
And don't forget the annual Bob Hayes Track and Field Meet at UNF Saturday, March 15th. Get tickets and info at bhitm22.org. For vendors and partnerships, call 904-222-1075.
I'm ready to show my hand, ready to take a stand, wait on a sign above, and I am ready, 'cause I just live for the game, 'cause I just live for the game, 'cause I just live for the game.
What is the Amelia, if you don't know?
Do you feel it coming? The rumble in your chest, the roar of the crowd. It's an experience you won't forget. The Amalie Motor Oil NHLA Gator Nationals are back March 6th through 9th at Gainesville Raceway. It's where anticipation meets asphalt, where you can meet your heroes face to face and feel like a part of the action. Plus, parking and kids under 12 are free with general admission. The Amalie Motor Oil NHLA Gator Nationals, March 6th through 9th. Get your tickets today.
Just be yourself. Maybe we're talking about being a dad or a mom, a first responder or a teacher. Maybe it's a sports fan. We love those. We're talking about anyone in the Jacksonville community. At Community First Credit Union, just be yourself means being real. When you partner with Community First, it's straightforward. They're people connecting with you so you can be yourself. I've been coming here to Community First for years. This is the Bartram branch, the one I usually come to. And they have mortgage loans, personal loans, and auto loans. And I'm almost done paying off that truck loan. Just a few more months. Good rates, easy online banking, and friendly customer service when I have a question. It's easy to be myself with Community First. They live up to the slogan in their name. Community First has partnerships in the Jacksonville community with the Iceman, the Florida Theater, the Jacksonville Zoo, and many more. Visit one of the Jacksonville branches or find out all you can do with Community First Credit Union at communityfirstfl.org so you can just be yourself.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austen Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network.
The Jacksonville Heritage Classic tonight between Reigns and Ribault. I believe this is the 6th annual, might be the 7th. But it's always a great one between Reigns and Ribault. They honor the Red Caps. A lot of history goes into this game. Last year, I believe they played right here. That's Fort Family. But they'll be back at ViStar Ballpark, the new name for the Jumbo Shrimp. Stadium, despite the renovations going on in right field. I believe that game's going to be played there. So that'll be a fun one. We played Reboot Tuesday night. Got a great team this year. Incredibly well coached. So that's one I'm be keeping my eye on tonight. A lot of good high school baseball tonight across the area. Austin, the
conversation during the break, but we have some new fans here in the waiting room.
Yeah?
Yeah. So during the break, a kind lady came up to me. She said, I just got to ask, like, you guys are talking a lot about football. I think she thought I was like having a phone conversation for the past 3 hours.
Dumb.
But then she kind of came up to me a little bit. I explained what was going on, told her like and subscribe and all that good stuff. But we have some new fans here, man, in Central Wisconsin. So it's pretty cool.
Let's go.
I always forget too, like I'm actually sitting like in a waiting room where there's like other people. So I'm probably like disturbing a lot of people's space, which I apologize, but got to do the show. We move. So I'm trying to do my part. Yeah.
You're increasing the ball knowledge of a lot of bystanders is what you're doing.
Well, well, first of all, come on, dude. It's Central Wisconsin. Like they're diehard Packer fans. They know ball, but I am increasing the ball knowledge in terms of Jacksonville Jaguars football.
It's true, whether they want to or not.
Yeah, for sure.
I do want to point out, as Brent mentioned, he's at Creekside High, talking to some students there, and Austin, he said he might be able to get in at the back end of the show. I don't know about you, but I never even considered that being a possibility.
No, me neither, especially the way the show's gone today. But I'm going to be honest, like I didn't know if he actually wanted us to talk to the students when they're in the classroom, or whatever the case may be, because my biggest advice is, hey, just be really good at football. They don't be really good at just get drafted in the 5th round by Gene Smith, have an okay NFL career, maybe sack Andrew Luck here, sack Drew Brees there, sack Jay Cutler here, knock his helmet off, have a 5-year career, go back to school to finish that degree. I don't know why balloons just popped up, but that's cool.
Wow, graduation time.
What was that? I don't know why this, whatever the case may be. But yeah, go back to school, finish that degree from the public Ivy League University of Murray State, and then become an on-air personality. It's just that simple.
That's great advice.
Yeah, that's what I would say.
I think, but I say that because I know that man is on a tangent right now.
Here's the wild thing, Hamby, that people don't realize. He has the stream set up, so I can see the classroom. I've seen the classroom for the past hour. Yeah. It's just chilling there.
Yeah, he's definitely on the other side talking. And so what is Brent Martineau telling those poor students right now?
Oh man, this is the Brent Martineau TED Talk right here, right? Like, hey, if you guys want to do what I do, I started really young. I mean, he still has the tapes of him when he was like doing the mock sports things as a kid. So, yeah, I'm sure just like how to get in the business. I mean, nowadays with social media, you got to be active on there as well. So probably giving some advice about that. And like I said, it's a good thing that I'm not there because I'll be like, I'll be honest with you, just be good at football. You're gonna be all right.
You took that a little bit more serious than I thought you were. I got to be honest.
Oh no, I mean, what do you want me to say, man? Like, but no, honestly, I thought that he was gonna like bring us in front of the classroom and like we were gonna talk to him and kind of show off the show a little bit.
I'm glad that didn't happen.
Is he showing off the show? Is that why like his stream is still on?
At one point a while ago, he did just point out that this is what it looked like.
Gotcha.
So.
Hamby, what's like the biggest thing that you ever learned in school? Like what's like the thing that sticks out to you in terms of like something that you could take away from having a great teacher or a great mentor? And then we can probably end the show here. I don't know.
Golly, that's a good question. I would say, I mean, first of all, like teaching actual subject wise, I just think the biggest thing I learned is how to write. That's how I got into school. That's how I did well in school. That's how I got this job, is knowing how to write in many particular ways. And I learned that in middle school and high school, obviously. Shout out to my English teachers there. As far as like a kind of a piece of advice, man, that's tough. I mean, I learned a lot of them. It's starting to pinpoint. if I was listening to Brent Martineau right now, what I would want to hear, shoot, I might want to hear a tutorial on how to do a stream and how not to throw the hot spot in the yard. Might maybe want to hear a tutorial on how to get in good with the former GM of the Jacksonville Jaguars to make a little side money. I don't know.
That Venmo, yep, I got you.
Something like that.
I love it, man. I love it.
Real quick before we get out of here, though, the Chris Godwin. Real quick before, I've seen on Twitter his name circulating more and more and more. About the contract negotiations. Because here's the thing, the Bucs fully expect to re-sign him. Okay. They fully expect to re-sign him. If I'm reading this right, and I could be wrong, but if I'm reading this right, they expect the feelings are mutual between them that Godwin also wants to be there. Mm-hmm. What's it gonna look like in Tampa Bay?
I know where this is going. Go ahead.
If the Jaguars come over the top, similar to the way the Titans did to the Jags last year with Calvin Ridley, and we sign Chris Godwin.
I mean, it's not a bad call, Hamby, right? Especially because there seems to be some bad blood still, some bad relations between Jaguars fans and Buccaneers fans. I don't know how Tampa Bay feels about Chris Godwin, though, right? Because like it's one thing if it's like he's like the true number one receiver, but you still have Mike Evans. And Chris Godwin's kind of had a couple serious injuries now. So I honestly don't know how they feel about him. And I don't know how to feel about Chris Godwin. Like, yeah, when he's healthy, heck yeah, man. In the slot, the dude's like world-class speed. But like, has he lost a couple steps now with said injuries? I don't know.
Yeah.
I
personally, that would almost be worth, like, I think I would pitch in to the fund, hypothetically, to pay him.
Yeah.
If it was like, hey, we need to raise some money.
Yeah.
I think I would pitch in just to see the reaction in Tampa Bay.
No, I mean, listen, I'd love to do that. Hamby, real quick, rank these four: DK Metcalf, Cooper Kupp, Devontae Adams, Chris Godwin. Order of most that you want for the Jaguars in order of least. No, don't even worry about money. I'm just saying from talent perspective of what they still have left in the tank.
What they still have left in the tank, man. I am going to consider what the play style of the Jags is. I won't consider money.
Of course, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, take into account the scheme, the roster, the coach, everything like that, for sure.
I think the play style of Godwin, if he's healthy, would be the favorite for me. I think he's an unbelievable player. This is going to sound... Devontae would be last. Age... Yeah.
Okay.
DK, I don't know. That's a coin flip between him and Kupp. Again, the injuries is the whole thing. Because, like, I just don't know what Kupp's going to be. I'll finish with this. I would like Cooper Kupp. If they signed him, I'd be excited. If they signed Chris Godwin, I'd be excited. If they signed DK, I'd be excited. If they signed Devontae, I'd be like, what are we doing?
Interesting. Okay.
Yes,
See,
sir.
I would probably go, once again, money aside, right? Take the money aside. I mean, I think DK Metcalf's the best out of all of those guys right now. I still think he has more left in the tank. So I take DK first. I almost lean, and once again, roster purposes doesn't really make a lot of sense in terms of how much money you'll be spending in terms of what they can do at the position, but I still think Devontae Adams is a dog, and I think he's a consummate professional. Now, he's not going to be here because Aaron Rodgers, but I still think he's a guy that you'd want in your locker room. So I would honestly go DK, Devontae, Cooper, and Godwin. While I think Godwin, in terms of, he's more like, obviously he's quicker than Cooper Kupp and everything, but the injury does scare me a little more. So I would probably go with Kupp over Godwin.
All right.
Yeah.
We'll find out next week, most likely. We will find out next week, most likely. Appreciate everybody hopping in the chat. It was a fun one today. Stay tuned. Perhaps we get some more confetti. I don't think I've ever seen that one before, so that's a great way to end it. But stay tuned. This weekend, perhaps some more moves made by Gladstone in this new era for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Have a good Friday, everybody.